Hello and welcome to the final round of the GPVWC Super League. My name is Ross McIntyre. Hopefully in a few short moments' time alongside me will be David Jundt to close out the season, hopefully with a banger as we head back to Brazil on the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache, better known to you or I as Interlagos. 59 laps await us around here in Sao Paulo with the rain hammering down. And although the Drivers' Championship may be done and dusted, the Constructors' title is still up for grabs. Just 3 points separating Edge Esports and THR as you join us just in time for the final qualifying session of the season. Hopefully the light at the end of the pit lane will turn green in just a moment, and then it'll be, of course, your typical private qualifying session, followed by a 10-minute warm-up, and then it'll be racing for 59 laps. And there is the green light. As there we see, up the top of the standings, Owen McGorgy taking the Superlights Championship. Dylan Platt cannot catch him anymore. The Road to Formula driver has done everything he can, and Dylan Platt as well is ahead and gone. So he is the vice champion of 2023. But Owen McGorgy has had a fantastic year at the moment in a very, very strong field of drivers here in the Superlights season. But still, going to be interesting to see how it all unfolds in this final race. Still plenty of fun to be had. We'll have to wait and see. But out for qualifying we head now. It shall be interesting to see how it all unfolds. But Interlagos, what a championship there. We see Roads Formula also, of course, wrapping up the Constructors' title as well. Quite some gap ahead, over 100 points clear if CR Geeks Energy. They have had a fantastic season. And, well, I'm sure they'd love to end off the year with a brilliant result here today. But all of the drivers will as well, so we'll have to wait and see. We shall have to wait and see how it is all going to unfold. But on board then, let's go around for a lap with Sandeep Singh, shall we? In the R2F car, our first driver to start a lap here at Interlagos into the Senna S. Very, very tricky set of corners here. Downhill, you're turning while you're braking. Tricky to not lock up your inside front tyre, and with the rain coming down, intermediate tyres, of course, as well. And now on what is essentially the back straight here, on the run down into the Cida de Lago, down by one of the lakes. My Portuguese isn't that strong, but I know Lago means lake, hence Interlagos, between the lakes. It's blues in the name, shall we say. And now heading back up the hill into Ferradura and at Laranjinara. A very, very tricky corner once again. A brilliant circuit here at Interlagos. A very popular one with all of the drivers, but it's a short lap around here. A very, very short lap indeed. The current circuit is only 4.3 kilometers long. I believe it's the third shortest circuit on the Formula One calendar. Sandeep Singh, though, very solid lap time so far out there at the front. And as he heads into Yuncao, possibly the most iconic corner on the track, let's listen in as he puts the pedal to the floor, heads to the line and sets the first lap time of qualifying. So Sandeep Singh goes to the top of the timing board with a 1:18.405. Very competitive lap time there from Sandeep Singh. Meanwhile, Joseph Erlock sticks it into P6 for Red Owl Racing. Very nice lap. And then Dominic Kurashavin, Team Ballas Esports, what can he do? He slides into the top 10 with that lap, of course. Still just under 12 minutes of time to go in this qualifying session. Fabrizio Gobi, great lap there. That is shot him onto provisional pole, 3 tenths clear of Sandeep Singh in the TX3 car. Mega lap time there. Once again, if you are just joining us, hello and welcome to the final round of the 2023 Superlights season in GPVWC. You join myself, Ross McIntyre, and hopefully in a few short moments, David Jundt will head along as well. Actually, I believe David may have just joined the commentary box. David, are you there?
Hello, Ross. Yes, I'm here.
Hello, David. We have been joined by David. So you join myself, Ross McIntyre, and David Jundt for the final round of the Superlights season in 2022. And although both championships are done and dusted, the rain is falling here at Interlagos, and the tension and the excitement, it still builds You join us with 11 minutes left to go in this private qualifying session. Sandeep Singh slaps it back into provisional pole. 3/4 of a second faster than Gobi on that previous effort, but Terence Krech, purple first sector, but a little bit down in the middle. Maybe he's gone for the downforce, or the straight line speed, should I say. We'll see where he goes as he comes to line P6. Very nice lap there for the TG Racing esports driver. Fabrizio Gobi wasn't a great first sector, but very, very fast in the middle sector indeed. The virtual driver's driver to the line. Does he go back to the pole? Yes, he does. Once again, it does look like it's drying at the moment. Again, it's you can never really tell what's going to happen with the weather in Interlagos in Brazil. Sao Paulo is a place where the rain comes and goes as it chooses. So we'll have to wait and see how it's all going to unfold with the weather out there. As Michael Galka slots into P17, strong final sector there. Joseph Herlock, purple first sector now. Lap times are starting to fall. I think the track is definitely starting to dry. Potentially at this point, David, you might be starting to think about having a gamble on slicks.
Yeah, true, although it's really difficult. I've just had this experience the other day on the weekend, and we've had just like now a bit of changing conditions, but it wasn't quite the same as here with these cars. But I would right now at the time Aston Plaid is going up to 5th, I think. Still, you see some yellow, so it could be that you're kind of missing the line a bit, so you're not gaining the time out of it. And at some like 2-3 laps, maybe the inters also starting to wear, and you need new ones as Coppeliniers, 16th now. But yeah, it's difficult to say and to find the right time to get out, but it might still be a bit too wet for a dry tire.
We'll have to wait and see, but it does look like the rain is definitely subsiding. We can see a dry line starting to form. I'm starting to wonder if maybe we see drivers maybe dipping off of the racing line on the straights, trying to pull the tyres, because now there's a dry line forming, even though it's too wet for the slick compounds. It's starting to get to the point where you're going to be scrubbing those front ends. They're going to be overheating, and you're really going to be struggling for grip come the end of the lap. There's Maxime Bulio. He has the line, currently 24th, slots up into 21st place now. This place is Perseus Miram. Really nice lap time there. Carlos Martin. Oh, there we go. That's a first sector. Half a tenth up on Gobi. Oh, the rain has stopped. And you can see there it is really fighting with the road to Formula Racing car is Martin. It's a personal best in the middle sector, but it's not a strong middle sector. And look at just getting the power down the rear end. Super, super squirrel easy. Unleashes the virtual horsepower, bringing it up to the line, maybe seeing 300 kilometers now at the end of the straight. Not quite. It will be P4 with 2 purple sectors, but that middle sector just letting Carlos Martin down. Alessandro Maggio 2/10 up in the first sector. Wow, what a start there for the Valet Esports driver with 7 minutes to go. Again, it looks like the rain has stopped. The conditions are improving. And again, it's all about being brave now, trying not to overheat the tyres. You see Maggio was just taking a slightly wider line on the entry there, just to try and pull those outside tyres on the damp stuff to not overheat the tyres for Jundt. And again, it's so dry that the intermediates are starting to struggle for the grip a little bit. Amazing middle sector from the Valet man as well. He's going to bring it to the line now. This is surely going to be the provisional pole by quite some time. Oh my goodness me. Alessandro Maggio, 7/10 of a second faster on everybody else. What a lap time. What a benchmark from the Italian there. Alexander Ragota sticks it into P2 now, so the track is now drying up very, very fast. We're seeing the lap times tumbling with every single lap that's going through. Sandeep Singh, no purple sectors, but 2 personal bests out there. He'll come to the line now out of the final corner, and he will go to P2, the purple final sector. So now it's all about being on the right tyres at the right time. To be honest with you, I think we are not far for seeing slicks, because that dry line, I don't think we're going to be far off seeing people trying to go for the gamble. But as you said earlier, David, it's you've been in that situation before. You just got to time it right and hope it doesn't go wrong. As Dominic Krashavin now with the purple first sector. Disappointing middle sector, but it is a personal best for Team Palace Esports. But wow, what a lap that has been as he slots into P12 and immediately demoted to P13. Maggio, another purple middle sector. He is flying at the moment, and he's pulling it into the pits of the well, maybe for a change of tyres. We'll have to wait and see. Oh, it's all going to unfold. Michelle Galka now to the line from P20. The PZZW team and slides up into P6. I don't know about you, David, but I feel like with the weather doing as it is, it started to rain again now as Van der Voort's out on the soft tyre. Maybe that's the best that we're going to see the track. The rain started to fall again. It started to get slippy. Sandeep Singh's still on intermediates and is still going fast. Maybe the time has come and gone for the slick tyre. There's Hygo Poom. Is Hygo Poom on slicks? No, he's on inters, but it's a fantastic lap from Hygo Poom. Up to the line he goes. And Hygo Poom, a 10th clear of Maggio in the TR Geeks car. My, oh my, oh my, what a lap that has been. And Van der Voort, yeah, I think the time has come and gone for slick tyres. So now I think, David, I think we've just seen the best conditions we may see all session. So that could be it in terms of actual competitive laps in our qualifying session.
Yeah, around like 7, like 2 minutes ago, it seemed like the most dryish situation you had on track with the rain coming back. It's not directly doesn't mean that it's over, but it's a small window, and then of course the line gets a bit wetter again, which you maybe not directly see, but it might more or less, as we see with Tom van der Voort, that the chance really was kind of gone again. So it seems like Hygo got the moment really correct, put on his best lap with Inters, and then took quite a dominating pole so far, even though Joseph Frelik also set a second best lap time as Kuzovsky here. Oh, still nice improvement to up to third. Nicely done, just ahead of Macho and his teammate Musaid is there. Nice.
Yeah, a very nice final sector. A nice little power slide down into the Senna S as well. Back on board with Fabrizio Gobi, the early pace setter in this session, but he's fallen down the order quite significantly. Hygo Poom, his lap time untouchable at the moment. Joseph Herlock, the closest man to him, 0.6 of a second away. In sim racing terms, that is essentially light years. Again, if you're new to sim racing, your first GPVWC experience, first of all, hello and welcome. You join myself, Ross McIntyre, with David Jundt alongside me, and it is a real pleasure to bring you the final round of the GPVWC Superlights season. But in sim racing terms, 0.6 of a second. I mean, in motorsport terms, that's quite a big gap anyway. In sim racing terms, pack your bags and go home, because that is huge. But with the weather being unpredictable here at Interlagos, oh wow, what a lap that is from Gobi. That final sector, absolutely monstrous. Nearly 0.2 quicker than everybody else. He goes 0.4 of a way off of Hygo Poom. Still quite a decent chunk of time. But Fabrizio Gobi found something heading through Yungkao and into the final section. Wow, look at how much the car is moving around under Alexander Ragota. He is leaving nothing out on the table. Is the Gallery 82 man. That was it out of Yungkao and up the hill. And now it is just foot to the floor and pray to the drag gods that you've got the power to push your engine to the higher speed. To bring it to the line, it wasn't a particularly good middle sector, but another purple final sector. I think maybe the final sector is drying up compared to the rest of the track as Maggio boxes despite 2 green sectors there, and it actually doesn't look like it's raining in the final corners. So I think it's stopped raining again, and I think as well, the final few corners looking very dry. I mean, obviously heading up Yungkao, it is on a hill as Sandeep Singh, another purple final sector. It's that's heading up a hill, so the rain's automatically gonna roll straight off the track and into the grass. That part of the circuit does dry faster than anywhere else on the circuit. The drainage here at Interlagos is very, very good, to be fair. They've had their fair share of wet racing. Again, in a tropical climate like Sao Paulo, you have to be prepared for the most instant and sudden and brutal of downpours, as we're on board with Carlos Martin. First to best in the first sector, only a 10th off of the fastest time through there as well. Coming through Yungkao, it's again not a great middle sector. I think we're starting to see a bit of a pattern forming here. Maybe drivers dropping the front wing level, trying to reduce downforce. Again, we are under park firming conditions. You are no longer allowed to change most of the setup of the car, but front wing level is allowed to be changed in park firming conditions, as once again another purple final sector. Hygo Poom, 2 purple sectors. The provisional pole sitter is back on it with 1 minute and 20 seconds left on the clock. He come around the final corner now, currently 3.5 tenths up on his own provisional pole time. What's he going to be? From Hygo Poom, he brings it to the line. It's not a good final sector, but it's still enough to go even faster. But Dylan Platt there, his teammate, completes a TR front row at the moment with a phenomenal lap time, almost 3 tenths off, but really gave it to Gobi there as Mateusz Gazowski coming through the tight and twisty middle sector, a painfully awkward part of the circuit compared to some of the faster stuff. This bit as well, a blind crested off camber corner that you really have to be careful getting the power on because you can lose the rear end just like that as the Gallery 82 driver negotiates the loud pedal. Now yanks out and back up the hill. Don't want to touch the curb in the wet. That will spin you out. You can get away with touching the white line there on the exit, but in the wet, you do really need to stay off of the curb as the rain is falling once again. We've got just over 10 seconds left to run in this qualifying session. Gazowski will get another lap. He slots it into second. A phenomenal final sector from Mateusz Gazowski. He's got time for another attempt as well. Dylan Platt will not have time for another attempt. Checkered flag is now flying. It is done and dusted. What can Dylan Platt do as he brings it to the line? It's not the best lap so far from the TR Geeks driver. And he slots it into second, 1.5 tenths off, just faster than Gazowski there. Gazowski's got a chance for another lap, and Maggio's got a chance for another lap as well. He's gone purple in the opening sector. Francesconi's gone purple in the middle sector. What can he do in the TG Racing Esports car? A big upset. He goes from straight to pole. Francesconi on the slicks took the gamble in the rain, and he stuck it on provisional pole. What a lap from Francesconi, but Maggio, he's purple in the first sector, so's Gobi purple in the first sector, green in the middle sector. What can Gobi do as he tumbles down the order? Everybody finishing their laps. He comes to the line now, can only manage fourth. Can Fabrizio Gobi, here's Maggio. Only a green in the middle sector. It's going to have to be a hell of a run up from Jundt. He brings it up to the line. The Valle Esports driver, what can the Italian do? It's pole for Alessandro Maggio. By 1/10 of a second. Can Rizokic for Gotza get any closer? It wasn't a great opening sector. He's really going to have to pull it out of the bag in this final run to the line, but I don't think it's going to be enough for Alexander Ragozza. He can only manage P9 on the grid. But Francesconi, what a surprise. 17th to second at the end there, but it is this man, Alessandro Maggio, who sits on the pole position for the final round of the season in 2023 in GPVWC Superlights. He will be absolutely delighted with that one. It is Alessandro Maggio, your pole sitter. Marco Francesconi with a brilliant lap. He slots into P2 with Stavros Mercedes just behind his Valle Esports teammate in P3. Hygo Poom is P4 for Fabrizio Gobi. P5, Joseph Herlock leads the Red Arrow effort in P6 with Dylan Platt and Mateusz Gazowski making up the fourth row of the grid. Meanwhile, Alexander Ragozza and Sandeep Singh, after a strong start to the session, they round out the top 10. That is your top 10 of the grid for the race here. Further down, Scott Sovic in P11 with Carlos Martin in P12. Then it is an all TTF row 7, Jan Sikora and Davide Zanini. They're followed by Mikhail Galka and Thomas Schmidt. Terence Grech is in P17 with Renko Dezu alongside Lorenzo Capolini in P19 and Vincent Gutt in P20. A disappointing qualifying there for the Red Arrow racer. I'm sure he'll be looking to move forward come lights out. Tom van der Voort with P21. He tried to gamble on slicks earlier on in the session, but didn't quite get away with it with Maxime Bulio P22. Purgis Mirren was P23 with Dominic Koroshavin in 24th, and Fabian Bell looks like he did not set a lap. He will start at the back in P25. Well, what an interesting qualifying we've just seen there then, David. Some big surprises, a few gambles with the rain still falling. We've got 59 laps of racing to look forward to here at the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache. And honestly, you couldn't predict it even if you tried. What a crazy qualifying session.
Well, Alessandro Maggio already shown a lot of promise from through Academy, FS2, and he's translating it now into another great performance in qualifying, putting in his best lap right when it mattered most, even on the inters against like Francesconi's, perfect gamble on the dry tire is like one of the few. But Marcio just about with the right moment, the right momentum, and gaining that pole. TR probably a bit disappointed that they were so close to like the front row and then it was taken away, and the Volley cars just looked about as strong there and now ahead. I'm also hearing that Road to Formula is not liking wet races, so maybe it's just like saying we've had a lot of wet Tuesdays now and they are kind of sick of seeing a wet track. I'm liking it. I like difficult races or some, drivers standing out trying to make the best. But yeah, it looks like Road to Formula might be happy once the season is over, as they're starting a bit further down the grid today. But yeah, it's looking like could be a thrilling race, although I just heard like rain should be stopping soon, even though I think we're still seeing rain, so let's see what happens.
Yes, we will have to wait and see. Again, no idea what's going to happen with the weather. It could very well be a wet, dry race, as we so often get here at Interlagos. But what an enthralling qualifying session. Again, the championships are done and dusted, so we're not seeing all of our regular faces here in Superlights. So we've got some different faces in here around today. And of course, the championship's over, so it's all racing for pride and glory. Alessandro Maggio, we know the Italian can pedal in that Valle Esports car. He has stuck it on pole, and what a pole that is for him. We are now in the warm-up session, so if you just joined us, hello and welcome to the final round of the 2023 GPVWC Superlights season. We are just over 8 minutes to go in this warm-up session, and then we will get going for the racing here at the Autodromo Jose Carlos Che in Sao Paulo, Brazil, one of the most iconic motor racing venues in the whole world. A track that's been around since 1940, been around in this form since 99, should I say. It's had a fair few iterations across the years, but it is still a track that is loved and revered by many a driver, and they all do absolutely love it around here. But no one's seemingly loving it more than Alessandro Maggio at the moment, but we could potentially have a very, very exciting race on our hands with the wet dry. I mean, it's now raining harder than it was in qualifying earlier on. Still intermediate conditions, but you can see the drivers just taking it cautious at the moment. It's the warm-up session. No point really pushing at the moment. Of course, just a generic reminder, the warm-up session, you are allowed to escape back to the pits in this session. So what that means is, if you have an off, if you have a crash, you can hit the escape key on your keyboard. That'll automatically teleport you back to the pits and repair all your damage. You can head straight back out again with no problems. Of course, if you hit the escape key and go back to the pit lane in qualifying or the race, then that is classified as a DNF. You are out and not allowed to rejoin the session. Fabrizio Gobi, he'll be a little bit disappointed with that qualifying session after a very, very strong showing early on. As the clock ticked down, he just wasn't quite able to string the lap together, but the pace looks like it's there. I think really it's all in the air of what happens with the weather. You saw that when it started to dry up for a few moments, a few of the cars were really struggling to get the power down onto the circuit, just really, really squirrely. But still, a very exciting qualifying session nonetheless. Alessandro Maggio with a fantastic pole. We will have to wait and see. But what a pole that was from Alessandro Maggio. But yeah, Fabrizio Gobi, he'll be a little bit disappointed with that one, I think. But I'm sure it will all be fine as they carry on going around in this warm-up session. We'll go over to you, David. I'm sure you've got a more experience driving around here at Interlagos than I do. What does it take for a Superlights driver around here to, really put together a good lap and race hard?
Oh, as I just see somebody spinning off there, one of the ballast cars. Difficult spot to put me there. Like Superlights, I've driven the car once, like in a test session in Jeddah, which is a completely different track in the drive, and it rains very rarely there. But difficult. Like I of the two cars, like it's some will say downgraded Super League car. but I've kind of enjoyed the car driving at one point. Like, it is not, you know, asking too much. To be honest, myself, it's not asking too much of the tires, and it's a bit easier to drive. I guess the handling and chassis comes maybe more out instead of just power and such. But it's kind of interesting to drive. But you've always got to be, Thomas with an incredible drifter. There is always the point where, like, mostly not just Super League, like Superlights, but you don't want to go too far over, you know, you can understeer, of course you don't like it, but you don't want to go too far and into, you know, oversteer area, because I've already heard people like mention about the voices seem to be, the car is okay, but some handling characteristics are not that well liked. Like I've heard, at least, like if we're looking at the reg racing, I've heard like Thomas van der Voort that the car has some you know, tendency to, if it starts spinning, that it goes into that slow and just uncatchable spin, and you can never recover from that. And some people just seem to, well, I would probably also not like it, but it seems a bit like that. But otherwise, I think the car is quite okay to drive. In Lagos, it's now difficult. Like we've got rain as well, and then you've got in Lagos always you choose also between like you choose between having a bit of like downforce for the hairpins and the infield, but at the same time you wish to have a bit some, you know, straight line speed, so you can get like a run up the hill, maybe turn one, and maybe if that doesn't work, you can, you know, set somebody up for say nice, and then afterwards use it on the next straight. But it's always a trade-off. It's difficult what you prefer to go with, and then in the rain it's getting even more tricky. And what I'm also forgetting to say is we've got a maybe also version like of the track itself. We've got some bumps, of course, some nasty ones that destabilize the car here and there. So if you also want to have a car that is, you know, suspension is working well and not being unset too much from the DDR line, but at the same time you also want it too hard or too high, because then you're losing traction, you're losing downforce. Yeah. So Lagos also seems to be a bit of a difficult mix to, you know, to get the car right and to set up. But of course, again, with the rain, it might be a bit more difficult to get it right here, and maybe those that go with a bit more downforce now, as long as it will be more wet, they might be in you know, pole position for good results. But it can go wrong easily. Like I know that if it dries down, you will have problems like missing the line. And with the Inters here, they take you know, they survive quite long compared to the wets. I think the wets were harder, and they only work up from a rather high percentage of wetness. But at the same time, we also don't just have wear by the number that like dictates how long you could go, but you've also got a thermal degradation of the tire. And to be honest, what I've seen in the past, even like Suzuka, not far too long ago, is that sometimes you prefer taking one more stop, because on the deck you got just a better pace, and they start to wear out and start to lose, lap time compared to a fresh set. And I think at one point this actually cost our second place driver on the grid, Francesconi, basically the win against Carlos Martin, because Carlos Martin pitted at the right time for a new set and was in the end faster. But I think that was also on a different tire actually. I think he went to the wets first. But yeah, it's gonna be difficult, but we'll see soon.
Well, thank you very much for the insight, David Jundt. Driver's eye perspective for all of you watching at home, wherever you are watching around the world. And a big thank you for David Jundt joining myself, Ross McIntyre, in the commentary box to bring you the coverage of the final round of the GPVWC Superlights season. We're only a few moments away from the end of the warm-up session and the start of the final race of the year. Full wets out now for the drivers, the rain continuing to bucket it down. And it doesn't look like it's going to stop anytime soon, so we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen with that. Of course, if you're watching GPVWC for the first time, you've picked the perfect time into Lagos for the season finale, and GPVWC, it always serves up a treat. And this time is no different. And if you fancy getting involved, and of course, make sure you head on over to gpvwc.com so you can see all of what happens and find out how to get involved if you're aspiring sim racer yourself and want to get started and race amongst the best in R Factor 2 sim racing. Checkered flag is out in the warm-up session. It is almost time to go racing. Carlos Martin sticking with the intermediate tyres. That could be quite interesting come the start of the race. It looks like it's stopped raining again, so the rain's going to be come and go. What tyres do you go on? Is it safe enough for inters, or do you gamble on wets and see if it starts raining again? It's all going to be up in the air. I think it's going to be just take it as the crow flies. This could be a very, very entertaining race, as you said, David. And tricky circuit for the drivers as well. Lots of things to consider. Yeah, so it is still raining lightly. Not as heavy as it once was, but the rain, it's definitely coming and going. So, yeah, it's a tricky circuit, like you said, David. Lots of bumps, lots of difficult, slow and medium speed corners compared with some flat-out high-speed blasts. It's going to be interesting so you can see. Although, of course, the checkered flag is out, and it's Carlos Martin's bringing it back to the pitch. You can see there on the live telemetry as he gets a bit squirrely through the long left-hander. You can see just how gently he was on the brake. It's all about just keeping the car on the black stuff when it's this wet around a track like this. And, well, turn one, excuse me, turn one down at the centre S's shall be rather interesting indeed in the wet weather, shall we say. 25 cars can be piling into there in the rain. We'll have to wait and see what's going to happen. But the end of the warm-up session has happened. It is almost time to go racing. And for the final time in 2023, the virtual 2D crowd, no hoods up in sight. They are loving the weather. And the Brazilian fanfare, always strong, even at a virtual circuit. And, well, you can see a few fists up in the air. They are loving the action, even though all the cars are currently in the pits. And a few flags flying in the background as well. Support for the Germans, support for the Italians. Those virtual fans will be happy with Alessandro Maggio and Valle Esports sat on the pole position. We'll have to wait and see how it's all going to unfold. We are now just waiting for the cars to make their way onto the grid. And then, of course, we'll have our formation lap and then 59 laps of racing. And then it's the end of the year for the Superlights here in GPVWC. Of course, championship's done and dusted. Many of the normal faces not here this weekend, so they're just racing for pride and personal glory, and maybe to have a bit of fun and put on a good show to cap off what has been a brilliant year of racing in 2023.
I might go with wets right now, because I saw the Ideal line is... When I watched Martin drive, there was a lot of spray. The Ideal line was not really showing anymore. So if it keeps raining like that, even though we've got like 20-something cars driving over the Ideal line, this might, of course, or this will, like, dry the Ideal line. But if it keeps steadily raining, it might not dry it as much enough that it's really useful going on inters. It might work for some, but at the moment it could be possible to go with wets and just go like this, but I've just got not enough wet tire running experience to exactly tell, but it seems like it's a possible strategy for like front row starters, very much for them.
I guess we'll have to wait and see the gamble that the driver's going to take. Is it wets, is it inters? Maybe a few further in the back of feeling keen. It all depends on what the weather's going to do. I feel like the drivers will have probably more of an idea than we do. They are now making their way onto the grid. I can see inters there. I can't see the cars further back. We've currently only got 3 cars out there. Let's hope everyone else makes their way out in a moment's time. And yeah, seeing inters in the pit lane. So we'll have to wait and see.
So interesting, we've got like ambient temperature of 20 degrees, but the track itself is 51 degrees, so Celsius. That is quite hot. So, and I think with the wets being a rather weary tire, this might also be difficult for those starting on that tire, but we'll see.
Yeah, so wets and dries up the front. We are underway on the formation lap. It's going to be interesting to see them. So there he is, the man on pole. Alessandro Maggio leads the way. He's going to be starting on the inters. Let's go through the grid. Alessandro Maggio starts on pole for Valle Esports. Michael Francesconi with a fantastic qualifying on the slicks into P2. P3, Stavros Mercedes, and then P4 was Hygo Poom. Fabrizio Gobi is P5 with Joseph Herlock in 6th, while the 4th row of the grid is a Gallery 82 lockout. It's Mateusz Kozowski and Alexander Ragota. Sandeep Singh and Scott Sovic, they round out the top 10 with Carlos Martin in P11 and Jan Sikora in P12. A disappointing qualifying for the Road to Formula guys. They'll be hoping to move forward in this race. P13 though, Abade Zanini with Michel Galka in P14. Thomas Schmidt is 15th with Terence Grech in P16. P17 as you move further along is Remco de Zoo with Lorenzo Cappellini for the HK Esports team in P18, while the top 20 rounded up by Vincent Gutt and Tom van der Voort, another one of our slick gamblers in qualifying, didn't quite go his way. Maxime Bulio is 21st with Perseus Miro in 22nd. Dominic Koroshavin was P23 with Fabian Ball in P24, and our final driver of the day, Dylan Platt, he rounds up P25. He did not set a lap in qualifying. We'll have to wait and see how it's all going to unfold. Any predictions for this one, David?
I saw actually Heiko set quality time, so I'm surprised he's like in 25th now. I've looked at the DC decisions just now and I didn't see anything about that, so maybe he deleted all his laps. I'm not sure, maybe it's a challenge. But yeah, I'm looking forward to, like, we see the two Italians on the front row here. I'm kind of hoping I'm seeing good race from Alessandro Macho with his great qualifying results. So okay, I can see a few wet tires like Heiko Poom is doing it, Herlock, Sovic, Martin, Zanini, Smith and so on. So there's a bit of different opinion in the field, but oh, Dylan Platt starting for the pit lane. Maybe he's going too wet actually. That also could be a thing. Now he's thinking it's too wet. But yeah, we'll see.
We'll have to wait and see. The drivers line up on the grid. As a great man once said, boogity, 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 let's go racing, boys. For the final time in 2023, we wait for the lights. And they should come on in a short moment's time. On board with your pole sitter. The red lights are on, the tensions rise. It's lights out and we are underway for the final race of the season in Interlagos. A collection of intermediates and wets is squirreling already from the front row. But it will be Maggio that leads the way as they're 3 abreast heading into the centre. S's running slightly wide there. Looks like we're all clean though. As there goes Hygo Poom on the wet tyres. A spinner in the foreground of your picture. Hygo Poom, great start there on the wets. We'll have to wait and see what Dylan Platt is doing. If he boxed for wets, he'll be leaving the pit lane in a moment. On the run down to turn 4 now. Maggio already pulling a lead with Francesconi holding on into second place. Hygo Poom inherits P3 with the spin for Francisco Gobi. A great start for him. A shame he found himself facing the wrong way. Heading through the centre S is now climbing back up the hill. Look at the spray being kicked up by the cars. It is so wet out there. It's anybody's guess if it's Inters or wet, as there we see Carlos Martin making a move on some other wet-shotted runners as they head through now the tight and twisty middle sector. It is just about being patient here, almost banging wheels. Galka and Martin, or Smith and Martin still I say, is now maybe to the outside and his teammate. The Road to Formula cars, they've split the strategy. Wets for one and Inters for other, and wet seem to be prevailing at the moment. Martin slides into the top 10 with a nice move up the inside into Ian Cow for the first time in the race. And Maggio will complete the opening lap. And as they make their way up the hill in the slipstream, wets the tyres to be on it. Oh, it's almost at a crossover. Both the wets and the dries are working as Hygo Poom to the inside of Francesconi into the centre S's, and a textbook manoeuvre down into turn 1 as Thomas Schmidt ties the same on Sandeep Singh, and he gets through. It seems to me that at the moment, the wet tyres do have a slight advantage, as there is Scott Sovic for Team Ballas Esports. He's also in the wets. He's also moved forward a few places. Yellow flags out in sector 1, possibly a spinner. Indeed there is. Tom van der Voort on the intermediates has gone round at the centre S's, but is able to get going again as there is Sandeep Singh continuing to fight as a side-by-side action. That's Koroshavin and Cappellini as Koroshavin on the intermediates gets through up into 16th place. A good start from him as well for Team Ballas Esports. Once again, it is perfectly on the crossover for Inters to wets. Both tyres working at different areas around the track, but Hygo Poom is the main mover at the moment. He's the one to watch. Let's get a replay of the start. This is Fabrizio Gobi. Great start, diving down the outside, briefly up into P2, but 3 into 1 corner wasn't going to work. And he actually didn't get touched. He just actually dropped it on his own. So a shame there for Fabrizio Gobi. Just got a bit too keen on the loud pedal, heading out of the center S's. As there's Tom van der Voort. Let's see what happened to him. Another spinner was their contact. I'll have to wait and see. That was Dylan Platt going up the inside. He tried the move on the inside. Indeed, there was a touch, and round he went. Good save from Platt. But Van der Voort goes round a lovely synchronized 360 and back on the way. There is Francesconi. Started on the front row, now down into third. As Smith loses a place to Sovic. Two wet-shotted runners doing their absolute utmost to keep it on the circuit as we're on lap 3. Meanwhile, we are on board with the intermediated Sandeep Singh, the Road to Formula driver. A disappointing qualifying, a disappointing start to the race. Of course, no DRS. Track is wet, so no DRS is allowed as they make their way through turns 4 and 5. Some awkward corners, down a slight dip and rocketing back up the hill and into this long sweeping right-hander, almost flat out in the dry, certainly not flat out in the wet. Certainly be braking and shifting down the gears as Alexander Ragota makes a lovely move up into P6. Going through Sikoria. Wow, big moment there for the TTF driver. He manages to save it as Kozovsky now has a little bit of a look and tries to go right, tries to go left. The Gallery 82 driver boxed in at the moment as they head through the middle sector. But again, a few of the intermediate runners still holding on for the time being on board with second place, fast starting Hygo Poom. The wet-shotted runner, Maggio, from the pole. He's on the inters. Does Poom have the run down into turn 1? I don't think he will. He's going to be too far back without the DRS, but gets a good launch out of the center S's. Does Maggio slightly outbrake himself? No, but Poom looks to get a better turn in, has better traction. They are running the curbs, which is interesting to see as there, once again, Thomas Smith and Sovic continuing to fight. Action everywhere you look here at Interlagos. And it is, of course, still very wet here as it stands. Thomas Schmidt, how is this battle going to unfold? A three-way fight for the final points-paying position. Sovic, Schmidt, Singh, the three of them inseparable out on circuit. Schmidt to the inside, into the left-hander later on the brakes. And he gets the move done, getting squirrely as well as Gobi now. Fast lap of the race. I think he may have boxed. He's 28 seconds behind in the pack. He started on inters. I think he might have gone onto the wets, and he might be trying to run long. And well, a few laps longer than anyone else anyway, and try the ultimate undercut and see if pitting himself on an alternate strategy is the one to be on, as Sovic continues to go around in 12th place. David, it looks like the wets are the tyres to be on at the moment as the rain continues to fall and Hygo Poom continues to go on the charge, but the intermediates are still not that slow at the moment.
Gobi made the right decision to immediately pit for the wets and, save himself a bit, because at this stage he could still, gain something because he's faster now per lap. As Macho was very wide there, which was my point that Macho, that the inters are working on as long as you can still take the idiot line, but because it's still a bit drier than the rest of the track, but if you go too far out, the wets will kind of gain will be a bit superior to the inters. Oh, as we've got a side-by-side collision slightly between Rogrosa and what was it there? 9 and 10 Thomas Smith. But yeah, as Hygo now is taking the lead here into turn 3-4.
Yeah, down into turn 4.
Next one.
Hygo Poom smelled blood. He was all over the Camaggio. How does the Italian respond? Further back, Maxim Bulio putting up a battle with Ballet and going ahead. Well, Ballet goes through, rather should I say, Dylan Platt now. Having a look to the inside of Capolini and getting through. No problems there. A little bit of a shove out wide. And you can see just how damp it is now. Definitely wet conditions as Poom starts to streak away from Maggio at the front of the pack. Make sure, of course, that you stay in touch with us with the social media hashtags GPVWC, hashtag SL2. Of course, keep talking away in the chat as well. Let us know your thoughts. Seeing a lot of comments calling for the wet tyres, and I think I'd have to agree with you at the moment. It all depends on what the rain does. If it starts to subside over the next few laps, then maybe the inters will come good again. It's all up in the air here at Interlagos in the moment. The heavy rain falling in Brazil as Maggio has to settle for second at the moment. Poom has put 8/10 into Maggio on that last lap. At the moment, Hygo Poom, the driver with the pace on that wet weather tyre. It's Thomas Schmidt now in P10. This battle for P9 has eased up a bit as Carlos Martin tries a lunge to the inside. Almost contact between Martin and Sikora, who's holding on those mediums at the moment. But the Road to Formula driver is all over the gearbox. of the man in front. Can he pull up to the outside? A bit of a straight line advantage for Sakura. Martin now looks to the inside, down into turn 4, but it won't go. He's going to hold on to P7 for the time being, but he clearly has a pace advantage at the moment as Perseus Miram now facing a battle, maybe a slight mistake. Coming through the set of S's as Zanini and Van der Voort both slide through. Van der Voort on the medium tyres as well. Perseus Miram on the wet weather compound. They are now side by side, heading back up the hill. Looks like Van der Voort's going to have to secede that 22nd position for the time being. Dylan Platt continuing to make moves from the pit lane on that wet rubber. He did indeed come into the pits. He was starting from last anyway, decided to box for wets at the end of the formation lap, and was that an inspired decision as he's sidling his way through the pack. Carlos Martin, now he gets the run, heading at a young cow. The rear end squirreling, so difficult to find traction, but he has got through as they will go on to their 7th lap of 59 now. A very, very short lap here at Interlagos. One of the shortest that we visit here in GPVWC as Francescoli loses out to the wet weather running Joseph Herlock. He's moved forward a fair few places in the opening few laps as Sikoria goes for almost a half spin. Touches with Martin and Gazowski. Now having a look through the 2 Gallery 82 drivers all over the back of Sikoria. They have to find a way through on the TTF driver in front, out to the side. Pauls Gazowski. Gonna have to go the long way around down into turn 4. Not gonna go this time. But yeah, definitely wet weather conditions at the moment. As they head through there is Dylan Platt. He's up to 15th as well. Dylan Platt is absolutely flying at the moment. Got a replay here. Let's see what's happened. This is Koroshavin as he continues to head round. Was everything okay with Dominic Koroshavin for Team Ballas Esports? Meanwhile, back to Carlos Martin and Kadiga to fight up the front with Sakura. And Martin now gets a good run. This is now live action. No, this is a replay, sorry, of the overtake on Sakura. And as you can see, the wet weather tyres just able to get that traction on easy. We are now starting to see big puddles forming on the main straight, so aquaplaning could potentially be an issue. Just a few moments, Sakura tried to a really, really brave move to the inside. And they did touch heading through turn 1. So that was the half slide there for the TTF driver. That was what happened there. There's a yellow flag out somewhere. Showing up over the replay meter. That's another replay. What's happened to Mateusz Gazowski? This may be for what the yellow flag was. Oh, he's dropped it. He's done a Max Verstappen. He has done a Max Verstappen as he has kept it out of the barrier. Mateusz Gazowski dropping the car through the long final left-hander on his what is technically classified as the main straight. Shows how wet it is. Can't even hold it. And on a slight left kink when it's flat out as Scott Sovic continues to do battle with Galka. And Galka goes sideways. If it wasn't wet weather before, David, it's definitely time for wets now. Oh, it's chaos. It's chaos. It is chaos here in Interlagos. Oh my goodness me, the rain is falling. David Jundt, it is wet weather racing here in Brazil.
Yeah, I would say it's now clearly more wet. Like I already saw when like Macho had difficulty staying on the ideal line, but I think they're also like kind of wearing out, and it's even more difficult to get out of the last turn and find traction, as we saw when Carlos Martin improved up there into 6th place against Chikora. So if they can't take the ideal line, I think the Itas are starting to have really big trouble. So the wets right now seems to be like the time to be on right now, as Herlock is also showing that as he attacks Macho now for 2nd.
Yeah, the gamble for Inters on the start didn't work. Herlock up into P2 against the intermediate short pole sitter as Dylan Platt continues his charge through the pack, continued to fight. This time he's looking up Remco de Zoo. Getting in the slipstream, pulls to the inside. Dylan Platt now into the top 10 as Ragota and Sandeep Singh box for wet tyres. Through goes Platt, lovely move through the centre S's. He's up to P9. He has been the big mover in this race so far. I wouldn't say lost the first challenge just yet, but Casey's got on board at the moment. Here is Michelle Galka. This was one of the spins coming through into turn 4, so all fine and good, and the rear just loops on him. Nothing you can do. You're a passenger. The number 16 completely unable to stop that one. The rear just started going round, and once you lose that rear grip, nothing you can do. Here was Maxim Bulia. I think we also saw them going around in the background as well. Oh, there was contact. So a bit of a side pod bashing. So that was the spin for Maxim Bulio. Been told as well he's got a penalty for speeding in the pit lane, I believe. There's a... Oh, so Ragosa, sorry, has got a penalty for speeding in the pit lane as he came in. So did he just get it a bit too wrong? Yes, he did. Oh, he got it very, very wrong to Alexander Ragosa coming in. Of course, that was boxing for intermediates. Even though the game was displaying wet tyres, he was coming in for intermediate wet rubber off of the intermediates there. As Carlos Martin goes up and Maggio pulls into the pits. The pole man, with 50 laps remaining, the intermediate tyres were not working as someone's actually smashed into the barrier. That was Sikora coming in. Smashed into the barrier on the way into pit lane. Hopefully no damage there for the TTF driver. He's been having a good race so far. As Maggio boxes a car up on the virtual jacks, he makes his way out on the wet weather tyres. Scoria will be doing the same. But the intermediate gamble has not worked. We are 10 laps into this 59-lap race. And it is wet weather racing here at Interlagos. And when the rain falls in Brazil, it really, really pours. Here we've got another replay. Was this on board with Sikora? No, this is Gazowski, who's now dropped to the back in the Gallery 82 car. What's happened to Mateusz Gazowski? Disconnect there. So that's why it's 25th. No. Disconnected out of the race. A big shame there. And that was Maggio trying to get his way into the pits. Here's Sikora. So let's see what happened as he came into the pit lane. I think he just got it a bit wrong. Maybe a bit of aquaplaning. Hits the brakes, touches the white line, and locks up. And doesn't actually hit anything. He obviously ghosts through the pole there and the pit lane lights. But yeah, just a bit too fast. Locked the fronts, trying to get it slowed down. This is Joseph Herlock in P2. Igo Puma is 5 seconds now in the lead of the race. He's bolted into the distance with the correct call on the tyres. Fabio Bell, meanwhile, doing a good job. The virtual drivers by TX3 man. Oh, they're going very defensive. Is Remco de Zeeuw in front. But Bell to the outside later on the brakes. He's still running on the intermediate tyres. So kudos for him for the bravery. But if it works for you, it works for you, I suppose. If he's able to make it stick, if he's able to make it run. I have no qualms about staying out there. It's all up to what the drivers prefer. If he thinks it's okay to stay out on intermediates, then we'll have to wait and see. But he's still on the attack on the wet weather tyre, running at Remco de Zeeuw. And they touch, heading through turn 4. But it's all fine and dandy at the moment. And as they now rocket back up the hill. Interesting to see, David, that he is still running on the intermediate tyres and still being competitive as well. I wonder if the rain is maybe just easing up a little bit.
I'm just looking at the graph, and I think the majority of the field kind of says nope. As I just seen Tom de Vandervoort drop even further down the grid on his Inter tires, and I think we might see about that here. Yeah, Tom on the main straight here. Oh, slight sideways contact there. Again, somebody's knocking on. He's just spinning it and then just, kind of blocked by the tire barrier there. Has to reverse and losing so much time there. But seems like most people are now going to wets when they pit. And I noticed that Maggio is a bit in a tough spot now as he's come out in P16. He's behind Gopi that went to wets after lap 1. So this will be a difficult task if most of the guys ahead of him are not pitting as quickly as they're still on the wets, while Carlos Martin is right now 5th and hounding Musaidis.
Yeah, Martin putting up the fight at the moment. It's going to be interesting to see how it all unfolds with the intermediate shoulder runner. And as they head on through. Carlos Martin, though, doing a great job at the moment. Remco de Zeeuw up the inside, but gets it wrong in the fight with Cappellini, and he's going to lose P12 to Zanini as well. Oh, and I don't even know it, two fantastically rhyming last names there in Cappellini and Zanini. But a mistake there from Remco de Zeeuw. And it's all come undone. He drops down to P12. As you said, David, it's definitely wet weather conditions at the moment. Everybody who has not boxed for wet certainly has now. Lap 12 of 59. Soon to be 13. Hygo Poom, 5.2 seconds ahead. It is now a race of attrition. You've just got to keep it on the black stuff as they make their way round. But still, it is... Oh, Herlock's out. Herlock's out. What's happened there?
Oh, I'm gonna guess disconnection again. Oh no. Yeah, Szymon says it. Damn it.
Unbelievable. Joseph Hurlock out of the race from P2. Another disconnect for him. You've got to feel for him. As Carlos Martin and Mercedes are banging wheels. Martin goes through up into the podium places now, but you've got to feel for Joseph Hurlock, man. I mean, talk about how much unluck can a driver have with an internet connection. It's just such a shame. Such a shame. More action further back. Here's Remco de Jong. He's fighting with that's Alessandro Maggio, actually. Oh, no, it's not. That's De Jong spun round. So a second mistake in about a lap as the show goes round, but you just got to feel. You got to feel for Joseph Hurlock. We're going to replay here, David, but your heart goes out to him. Racing driver.
I had this in the back of my head, thinking he's in second, and I knew that his connection was a bit troublesome all the season. I didn't want to think about it and say anything to jinx him, but it's just happened again. This is really sad because he was doing very, very, very well. And here the Sue against Maggio, who's coming, trying to fight back on fresh wets as he's just about making it through, and then Remco is, I think, all the wets just slightly not getting the power down and just catching it again. Nice. But I'm just saying that the wets, like those that are still on it on their first set of wets, those will also of course start to wear and a bit older now, and the ones now pitting and coming out behind them will have more pace, but they will still have trouble finding their way past them. As here Maggio is on the fresh ones against Gopi on the slight old set now and trying out on the outside, but on the ideal line. But kind of not anymore, and Gopi aggressively runs wide and there's no way past for him. As he's trying again while they have Sandeep Singh behind them. Also trying to find a way past.
Action everywhere you look here at Interlagos on lap 14 of 59. Maggio, after boxing for the wet rubber, started from the pole. Just the intermediate gamble did not work. Here's Perseus Miram. What's happened to the driver running in 22nd place? Heads out of Young Cow. Everything looks okay. Oh, shows just how difficult it is. Wheel spin in third gear, heading up the hill. It is so wet out there.
Bit of a fidget spinner.
Yeah. The driver's really struggling. Dylan Platz, though, he's up to P6. And as Thomas Schmidt runs wide, could be moving up to P5 very shortly. If he gets a strong run, heading up the hill, and it looks like he has. He's in the slipstream. Dylan Platt is a man on a mission. He's a man on the move, and he's a man who is shortly going to be in 5th place. Dylan Platt pulls to the outside. On the run into the center S's, and the move is done before the braking zone. Does Schmidt have a look to the inside? He thought about it, but Platt closed the door. And that is as easy as they come. Dylan Platt from last to 5th place. After that inspired move to box 4 wet weather tyres at the end of the formation lap. He is easily the fastest man out on circuit at the moment, of 20 positions. Platt is plowing along. He is truly flying. Maggio, though, currently struggling on the wet tyres. He's stuck behind Francesco Gobi. And, well, you got to feel for him. The tyre choice just wasn't right. Again, you come into a race at Interlagos, no idea what the weather's going to do. It is all a gamble what tyres you started. Unfortunately for Alessandro Maggio, after a spectacular qualifying for the Italian, it was the wrong tyre for him. Great on-board shot here of Fabrizio Gobi. Seeing this spray being kicked up behind the rear wheel, you can just make out Maggio in the distance. Gobi decides to go defensive there. I'm not entirely sure why. That's not really a corner where you need to, and that's cost him a bit of time and compromised his exit. So now that's allowed Maggio to close up. And once again, Gobi going defensive. So yeah, I'm not sure why he's going defensive when he needs to, or maybe it's because he's being held up by the driver in front as well. Cappellini could be forming a train as Martin on Francesconi to the inside, heading into the center S's, and Carlos Martin promotes himself into 2nd place. Francesconi still on the intermediates, still in the podium places as well. A brave man is him. As Vincent Gutt, meanwhile, he continues to head around and has a look to the inside of Scott Sobick. That makes it P7. Nice move there. There is Gobi now trying to go the long way around of Cappellini, and he's got the door shuttered in. That maybe opens up opportunities in the background, not for Maggio, but for Sandeep Singh certainly, because Maggio was held up by Gobi in front, and now they're going to be side by side, heading down the back stretch. Sandeep Singh's going to pull to his... Whoa! Contact between Cappellini and Gobi? He completely rejoins the circuit. Sting goes round. Oh, it is just a war of attrition out there at the moment. Running on lap 16, and it feels like we've been here for hours.
I'm getting a bit of, what was it, Brazil, like 1994 vibes there by that sideways contact between Capellini and Gobbi there. That would could have been so close to disaster because like the sideways touch there, just putting him, yeah, well, he put him into the barrier, kind of catches it again, but he comes out at a nearly wrong moment. But to be honest, Singh kind of, you know, spun himself on Macho there on the inside. That tire rubbing that often here leads to spins between the cars. It's not even the tap, sometimes it's just the tire rub on each other that they spin. So in the end, Capellini was not really the one. That guy had to give him room, but it was not really him. So yeah, unlucky for Sandeep Singh there, as Dylan Blood is now up to third even, I think. Nice, he's gained like, by now it's like 22 places. I saw Capellini off against the track on the AstroTurf and the grass. These tires are probably very old now.
Yeah, they definitely are. Probably overheating from all the spins, as well as the second place man, Francesconi. He's boxed full west. The final into shod runner. Boxes from P2. Sandeep Singh now up the inside of this slow-going Capellini following that sprint, whose tyres are probably hotter than a roast dinner. And Sandeep Singh moves on up into P12. Here is a replay. Now, this is what happened to Lorenzo Capellini as he heads down into turn 1. Oh, he just touches the grass, gets it wrong, misses braking, runs wide, and he's a passenger by that point. Lucky to keep it out of the barrier. But a shame for Lorenzo Capellini. 2 very disappointing laps. I've seen him tumble down the order. Thomas Schmidt, though. Dylan Platt's got through him, so Platt up to P3. And we still do have 2 intermediate shod runners, actually. Mercedes in 5th and Van der Voort in P23. They're both still on the inters, and maybe that could pay dividends, especially for Mercedes, if he's able to keep going, as that was a driver boxing in the background. That may have been Mercedes. Yeah, Mercedes is coming for wets, never mind them. So that leaves Van der Voort out there, the only inter-shod runner. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Maggio currently P8.
Some drivers currently showing a good tire. You know, they are really easy on the tires because like we're nearly at the point where we are third through the race. Oh, Remco saw with the spin at turn at the Senna there. Slight coming to get with, who was that? Was it with Musaidis or Rogosa? Didn't see it, but oh, more chaos there. But I was just gonna say, you're now at a point where you're 1/3 through the race, so you can make it 2-stop of work if like the weather doesn't change much and you can stay on the wet. So like people like Heiko Puma are looking in a really good spot right now, being easy on the tires. So this also for Francesconi could be a good strategy right now. So as long as they look after their tires.
Absolutely. But a replay here. What's happened to Remco de Gio? Coming down into the Senna S's, dive bomb up the inside and contact. Yep. Looping around goes Remco de Gio, the Fusion driver, not having a good day. And luckily kept out of the barrier as well. And here's Gobbi as well. Gobbi making a move on Vincent Gutt, maybe. Once again, David, it's just keeping it out of the barrier, keeping it on the black stuff. Gobbi's going to go through with the straight line advantage. Yes, he does, up to P5 on the start-finish straight, but many drivers having rough days out there. It's a difficult circuit here at Interlagos, David, and with the roaring rain, it is very, very difficult.
Seemed like it made it worse by the weather, so it didn't grip. Maybe old tires, and then he slightly understeered into the side pod of Capellini there, and then he lost it. It's so easy. Oh, Musaidis nearly dancing around the front axle of Rogosa so he doesn't spin him. But it's so easy to, you know, you go one lap in the wetness and you think this is the perfect line, and in the second lap you suddenly feel a completely different, you know, handling or the tire wear, and then the understeer in the very slow turns are even more difficult, and the wear feels just like the car won't turn, so it can go wrong so quickly, even if you thought you had everything under control, as much as now diving to the inside of Vincent Gutt and taking 6th place now on his bid to come back to the top 5.
Yeah, lovely stuff there. Maggio continues to push on. Currently P6. At the moment, Martin has boxed from P2 it was. So Carlos Martin in, presumably for another set of wet tyres. Oh, he's heading back out of the pit, so no, he is coming in. So he'll be in for another set of wets, I assume. Yes, indeed he is. Dylan Platt comes in as well. So wets are already reaching the end of their life after just 20 laps of racing. So potential 3-stopper on, or will be a 2-stopper, sorry, my maths is terrible. There's Francesconi, who after qualifying second, also aiming to push his way through the pack. And he's going to do so here, having a look on Sakura, up the inside of Sakura. Lovely move by Michael Francesconi for TG Racing Esports. Simple as you like, into P4, up the inside. Superb stuff. Up into P6 he goes. There is Sandeep Singh, meanwhile, who maybe tries to put the pressure on his teammate in front, who's just come out of the pits. Not sure if there'll be team orders here. We'll wait and see.
Technically that worked out perfect, like Carlos Martin came out in a slight bit of, you know, still gap to Sikora, and Sandeep on his older set is probably just staying behind and letting him drive. So as Heiko is now also in the pits finally after 21 lap on his first stint. So yeah, I think people are pitting now and had kept the tires alive for so long. They're looking in a really good spot, because I think Martin is not too much wrong there. I mean, he's got a few drivers ahead of him, but some of them have not pitted or start on different tires, so he might be in a better position now coming out with the freshest tire, most grip, as Heiko's also careful, but he's out in front like 6 seconds ahead of Thomas Smith, who is doing a really good job for Drake Racing tonight, so kudos to him so far at the wet conditions.
Absolutely, Francesconi's loving life at the moment here at Interlagos. And Maggio, meanwhile, trying to make the move on Gobi, get himself back into the podium positions. As Hayo Poom continues to lead up the front. He has dropped a little bit of time to Thomas Schmidt, so maybe Poom running out of tyre. As there is Carlos Martin now putting the pressure on Sikora. That's not a place you often make a move. Martin did have a look, though. That was very, very brave if he decided to attempt that. And, well, not entirely sure that running all 4 wheels on the curb is the line, as Sakura goes through a gut. Oh, wow, this is brilliant racing. Is Martin going to try and follow him through as well? Almost 3 abreast through the tight and twisty. Lovely move by Carlos Martin to get up into P7. Vincent Gutt was a sitting duck to Martin on the wet line. Around the outside he went. Brilliant stuff. Now maybe he can try and focus on getting through Sakura as well on the run through Yunkao. And up the hill they roar, running the curb. Martin is pushing hard, so is Alessandro Maggio. He's going to be too far back for a move on Gobi, but he might be able to try something majestic into turn 4, or he could try something here, late braking to the outside. They're going to touch as Gobi tries to squeeze the Valet Esports man out, and they're going to bang wheels again as Maggio forces his way through. Lovely stuff from Alessandro Maggio to get up into third podium places. Dylan Platt, fastest lap of the race at 123.7 for the 10th place runner. He's doing an amazing job at the moment on lap 22 of 59. Carlos Martin, meanwhile, having a fantastic go out there. And Dylan Platt pushing like crazy. He is so fast at the moment. It's great to see.
I'm a bit surprised he seemed so, after his pit stop, he seemed so far back from like his concurrent rivals that were next to him. But maybe I'm just seeing this wrong, but I thought like Platt was very close to the other pitters, like near the same lap, and now he's suddenly just like 9th, even behind Sandeep Singh that had a spin and trouble with the car. And now he's suddenly further back down than I thought he was. But and I'm looking at the rest of the field, like I'm currently thinking that kind of Poom is probably leading Macho and kind of more or less Martin, because they've got like the freshest tires so far. As we see Gobi pitting now, because I was just asking myself how long Gobi was gonna make this tire last. Although I could say the same about Smith, who's now also pitted ahead of him. So they made their tires very long, their stints very long, as Dylan Platt is already on a move and trying to prove me wrong here by thinking he might have had a very long stop. He's past Sandeep Singh now, up to 6th place. But yeah, I'm a bit uncertain about the strategy for like Gobi, because he was forced to pit, or more or less through the spin forced to pit lap 1, and that meant he had to make a kind of long first stint or try it. But now it was kind of clear against Macho that his tires were reaching the end of his tire life, so he had to come in. And what we're seeing right now has the fresh tire pit have now taken over, you know, the dictate so far, as Smith is now immediately, as I say, on the move on the fresh wet, very close around the outside. He's very far off. Let's see, like he's not taking the plates immediately against Galka, but now he's got it. As you can see, you can, as Igapum, new fastest lap on the fresh wets, 23.696. As you can see, you can overtake even kind of off the line on the outside on the fresh wets, so there's a lot of grip available now, even though, you know, most of the time the ED line is the best one, but currently it's not that much. I think we've missed Ross, sadly, so I'm gonna try to make my best and commentate on it, and hope he's maybe back soon. Here back to Francesconi, trying to go for Maggio, having the fresher set now, I think. Inner Italian battle again, has Carlos Martin in the background, trying to close up again. Looking good so far, Valle. Vincent got, I think, I think he pitted. Yeah, I think he's pitted. It's just about. I'm gonna check that back. Lately, when did he pit? There was like it said it's still 23 laps long. Woof. I'll be interested to see if that was really, but wow, it's a long stint. I guess that's why Valle probably passed him there. Here, Gobi 14th now on a fresh set. Of course, sadly, offset now on where he could possibly be. I think with his pace around the top 5 as usual, but it's difficult now. He's kind of running a different strategy. Back to the top 3. Francesconi trying to make the best of his tires, possibly with a bit of push to pass, because that looks very quick here. Macho trying. Oh, he's driving into the side of him. That's not really helpful. That might be damage for both of them. As Martin is just looking, waiting. Oh, don't go wide. But Martin, perfect. He's doing the what was it, Max Verstappen overtake there, around the outside. Superior tire right now. Gobi with the new fastest lap again, taking it by like some 40 thousandths over Kroom's time. Musaidi is here in 6th, taking place from Shikora. Difficult here, like don't go to the AstroTurf. Don't touch AstroTurf and it's wet. Back here, Gobi again. Oh, ooh, nice. And he makes it work around the outside. Also past Galka. Galka seeing them people zoom past him right now. Replay from Francesconi's view on this incident. Without the inside, difficult of course, it's slightly more wet. He's missing it, and he's missing the inside as Maggio tried to turn in, so kind of the Perez happening, and Martin just passing right around the outside. Really nice move, taking advantage of Maggio losing the momentum there. Here we have Sandeep Singh down in 8th, and also behind Shikora, looking to gain back lost time. Just going down the inside. Shikora doesn't seem to be fighting it that much. Through he goes, up into 7th place. Slight bit understeer, but all okay there. Ragosa 10th. Also looks, I think Vincent Gott is going backwards, and he's got with Gobi again. Another 10th down on the fastest lap. Really fast. Nice. I think I'm not understanding if Vincent Gott is still on the same tires. Does that mean he wants to do a one-stop or even? He's not that far off, like about 30 laps. But to be honest, there's a big difference between doing 20 laps and being 30 laps. Like at this stage, I'm gonna tell Vincent, I think the other strategy would probably be faster. But I mean, I'm not the one sitting in the car. That's his strategy. But Vincent, at least he's not put the tire too much wrong, so he's still very nicely in the points. But Arrow's gonna need some of those after they lost Herlock, sadly. Back with Tillenplatt, 5th, hounding Maggio. Couldn't really see how the fresh tires making a difference again. Like, hear me daring to say he was so far down, but here he's already back to 5th, and now he's trying to grab 4th, also around the outside. Down start finish. Let's see, should be the better line, more grip, and yeah, Maggio doesn't fight it that much, and he's grabbing 4th. That really showing his great talent today by coming from the back, coming from the pit lane. As we got Gobby again, 23.3, that's nearly 1.5 tenths, so it's really showing that the what if pace he had, as he's now also behind Vincent Gott, who, yeah, we can see the car move slightly, but he cannot really fight it. Gobby just has so much more grip. Gonna have to give that one up. Yep, Gobby up into 11th place now. Vincent down to 12th. Still points, but yeah, I'm gonna say this is gonna be difficult. 30 laps on one tire, doable, but yeah, as we see, everybody is now on the wets. Things is just not working out anymore. I can't see the percentage, of course, and such, but it's just they are not favorable anymore. Better off on the wet tire, which is nice to see that the wets are. As far I can see, they are not just like monsoon tire, because we've had in the past the issue that wet tires are only really working when it's just bucketing down all the time. So this time we've also got wetter tires can be a valid strategy, and we've like seen it in like the past races when it was wet. Here comes Maggio for his second stop, like we're close to lap 30. Sounds a bit weird, like from stint time, I guess. Gonna check quickly. Yeah, 9 lap, then 17. Might be a bit offset here, so it's probably not his last stop. Would be a bit weird 30 laps. As Ross is back with us, I think.
I am indeed. Not just the drivers having connection issues tonight, it would seem. Apologies for the problems there, as we see Sandeep Singh trying to fight with Ballet. Ballet goes through up into P7. And, well, again, it's now just all about the pit stops and the like. As Ballet, a lovely move there to slide up into 6th place. Sandeep Singh, it's not been his best workout on track today. He's just not quite been able to truly find the rhythm that we know he's capable of. He's struggled out there just a little bit, but still, it's been an entertaining race from him, one nonetheless. We are just about halfway through this race as Maggio puts the pressure on Kurashavin, and still wet conditions, although it looks like the rain is drying up. Maggio, lovely move up the inside on the brakes. Awesome stuff from the pole sitter, who is on a bit of a comeback drive after the wrong tyre choice at the start. Hello and welcome if you are just joining us. We are halfway through the final round of the 2023 GPVWC Superlights season. And Maggio now up into P12. Singh does come into the pits, so he did need a fresh set of rubber. And he will drop out of the top 10, and that will promote Maggio up into 11th place. Let's see what tyres Singh goes on to. We'll presume will be another set of the wets. He stopped. Oh no, Singh's got inters. Okay. So Sandeep Singh is taking a gamble and is going on intermediates, David. Now, I don't know about you, but I still think it's a little bit too early, but maybe Sandeep knows something we don't. Maybe he thinks it'll work. Maybe he's confident enough, but wow, so Sandeep Singh onto the inters. Maybe this could turn out to be an inspired strategy.
I do see that Idia line coming out a bit more prominently, but with the rain in the background that I saw, I was like thinking, this could be a bit, brave, but maybe Sandeep thinks he doesn't like the wet so much, and it's not so far away from, if he stays on the Idia line, of course, it's close to manageable to drive, and he prefers the inters. Then maybe it could work out for him. But I'm not gonna hold out my breath there for that. Could help him, but could be difficult.
We'll have to wait and see what it's going to do. At the moment, it is drizzling. It's not raining as heavy as it was, as Gobi also on the intermediate rubber. It looks like guys down to the inside. So no, Gobi is still on the wets. Apologies, but maybe with the rain subsiding a little bit, maybe Inters is the way to go. On lap 30, Maggio gets into the top 10. Lovely move past Galka on the run into the center S's and a new fastest lap of the race. 122.791. So the track is getting faster. Maybe not quite intermediates yet, but in a few laps' time, Sandeep Singh may have just pulled a master stroke, or did he box too early? Or maybe the rain will continue to fall as Smith fights back on Gobi. Oh, sorry, should I say. Gobi makes his way through. So Thomas Schmidt down into 8th place. He falls. Again, at the moment there's just action all over the track. There is fighting and scrapping for position everywhere that you're looking. And it's all up in the air. No one knows what the tyre choice is. Nobody knows what the way to go is. We just have to wait and see. But Thomas Schmidt, he's sticking to the wet tyres at the moment. But again, you run the risk, of course, when the track is dry enough for Inters, the wets just overheat so fast. You end up scrubbing the tyres on board with Sakura now as he gets a bit squirrely heading into... Oh, that's a big dive from Jan Sakura. But up the inside, lovely move. And up to 14th place, Scott Sovic caught completely unawares. I don't think he expected a dive bomb to come into there. So he drops down to P15 for Team Ballas Esports. Lovely move there from Sakura. And now he is behind his TTF teammate, Zanini. And, well, Sakura seems to have a lot of pace on board at the moment. As we head into lap 31, Hygo Poom still leads. Koroshabin comes in just behind him as well. Looks like Zanini boxes. Now we wait and see what tyres these guys go on to, because if they're going to Inters, we'll have to wait and see. Let's find out what is going to happen. What's the tyres for Koroshabin? It's going to be another set of wet compounds, so split on the strategy. Zanini, I believe, is also onto the wets as well. Fabian Barley currently holding on to that 7th place from Schmidt behind. Koroshabin, penalty. That'll be for speeding in the pit lane, presumably. So unfortunate for him, but he has gone back onto the wet tyres. Yellow flag out in sector 1, and that's Zanini. Zanini's crash coming out of the pits. And that's a lot of damage to the front of the TTF car. I think Zanini coming through the pit lane. Of course, the pit lane is a lot more wet than the circuit. It's had no one running through it. This is live on board with them now. We should go back to the replay in the second. You can see a bit of suspension damage for Davide Zanini as well as he struggles to make the corner. And, so that's the aftermath of the incident. Let's find out what happened. I presume he may have just got it wrong or locked up. So Zanini comes out of the pit lane now. And as he comes into the right, again, a very tricky pit. Oh, he just lit up the rears and then slid straight on once he was onto the damp stuff. Cold tyres, and that'll do it. Big shame for Davide Zanini, but just shows how tricky, how treacherous it is out there in Interlagos. The rain hammering down, the racing gods throwing us what is already turning into a GPVWC classic as Carlos Martin starts to put the pressure on Francesconi, who has been frighteningly fast up the front of the pack following his sensational 2nd place in qualifying. Can he hold on to the fast charging road to Formula Racing of Carlos Martin? Only time will tell. They are currently 18 seconds back from Hygo Poom. That's just inside the pit window. It's not a particularly long pit lane here at Interlagos, but with that awkward pit exit, we have to side your way through a few extra corners. It does cost you quite a bit of time. Thomas Schmidt has got past Ballet in the last few laps. Martin will not be close enough for a dive bomb down into the center S's. But he's putting the pressure on the man in 2nd place as we speak, banging off the rev limiter, putting an extra 10 kph coming down the straight from the slipstream. Here is Alessandro Maggio, currently in P10, shortly going to be P9. Surely is he's in the slipstream of the Gallery 82 of Alexander Ragozza. And already trying to look for the inside, trying to get a bit extra downforce for the corners. Oh, dummies to the outside. Wonderful from the pole man. He will take P9 before they get to the corner. Ragozza chooses not to fight him. A smart move from the Gallery 82 man. He knows that is not his fight to have. Sandeep Singh currently fighting with Scott Sovic for 13th place. So clearly the intermediate's not a terrible tyre to be on. I'm not sure if they're the fastest though. So time will tell if it was an inspired move from Sandeep Singh. Going to the intermediates. Here is Thomas Schmidt. What's happened to the Drag Racing driver? Oh my goodness me. That was Gobi getting very squirrely in the exit of the corner. That's what allowed Schmidt up into 2nd. Here's Lorenzo Capolini, possibly back in the wars again. Coming through the center S's. Running a little bit wide, yeah. And into the wall as well. Cappellini's luck has run out with his wall avoidance. He's had a treacherous race. That's the Italian, and a real shame. You got a feel for him probably getting frustrated in the cockpit. Moses Miriam is also on the inters as well, but he's currently down to 22nd, so he's struggling at the moment. Only Hedi Zanini, who of course had to pit again after that damage following a touch with the wall on the pit exit. Carlos Martin has closed right into the back of Francesconi. He's surely not far from being able to launch a lunge up the inside, maybe not here, but certainly later on in the lap. Carlos Martin has been flying at the moment. Hugo Poom, though, still dominant up the front. 19.5 seconds now is the gap on lap 34 of 59. And, well, Hugo Poom at the moment, David, he's looking dominant out in front.
Yeah, like I was already asking myself, like the back of the head, has anybody seen Owen Megaoki? Maybe he put on his helmet, but no, Hugo Poom is doing a great job today. He's like kind of... although I should better not say anything anymore, otherwise, you know, possibility of jinx is always there, but he's looked so, you know, unbeatable ever since he's taken the lead, and he's having this nearly 19-second lead, so it seems like fish to water is the correct expression right now. And I've just looked at the tires, like when we saw Gobbi pass Smith, I could see that Gobbi, like Smith started on that wet stint in the first, and Gobbi went to the wet after lap 1, and actually they pitted on the same lap, so basically Gobbi kind of gained all that time on him and then pitted on the same lap and is now ahead of him, so that shows Gobbi's pace right now. It's just too bad that he was on the wrong tire and he got spun, but the pace is there, so if he's keeping it up, it might still be very close to the podium, but anyone near the podium right now is having a very great pace, so Gobbi's got a lot of work as his teammate Ballet is now in the pits.
Indeed, he is. Fabian Ballet comes into the pits, as does Michel Galka. Let's see what tyres these guys are going to go into. We've only got a few intermediate shoulder runners at the moment. Maybe these guys fancy joining. Sadim Singh in the gamble as well as Ragota and Ballet come together. Just a collision in the pit lane as Ragota was turning in and Ballet was coming back out of his pit box. Let's have a look here. So Fabian Ballet comes in. Yeah, obviously car goes up on the jacks. Another set of wet tyres. He just goes. Obviously, in our Factor 2, no Jackman to tell you there's an unsafe release, and unfortunately that's just a racing incident. Neither of them were aware of what was truly going on. And Ballet coming together with Ragota, hopefully no damage for the pair of them. He comes back out on a set of wet tyres. So yeah, we'll have to see what is going to happen. Meanwhile, Carlos Martin, this time he's going to have a look on Francesconi. Up against the wall, done on the main straight and up into second place. Surely as they're doing these center S's. Francesconi holding his own to the outside, though they bang wheels. Francesconi's going to go round. He manages to save it, but Martin goes through. Dylan Platt slides up into third place, and Dylan Platt maybe up into second as well to make it a TR Geeks 1-2. This man has been amazing in this race. Can't quite make the move on Martin at the moment following the banging of the wheels in the center S's. But Dylan Platt will inherit P3 with a smile on his face. Door was open. Thank you very much. I'll take that one. Here's what's happened. On board with Michael Francesconi. Turning in. He manages to hold the outside line, but it was... so Martin had to avoid him. Actually, I think Francesconi might have just dropped out on his own trying to avoid. So on board Francesconi, was there contact between the pair of them? Yeah, yeah, there was. Bit of a connection issue, maybe. It seemed to be a touch out of nowhere, and Platt tried to get around the outside, but just caught Martin at the wrong time, had to lift off the loud pedal. So he'll have to settle for third place at the moment as Hugo Poom now 21 seconds ahead of the pack. Dylan Platt, though, easily driver of the day at the moment. Yellow flags out in sector 2. That's, looks like Zanini's had another moment. And indeed he has. Davide Zanini's day goes from bad to worse. Another spin, the last of our runners in 23rd place at the moment, bouncing over the access road as well. But Dylan Platt, talk about what a performance has been. 25th to 3rd place. He has been absolutely amazing out there so far. And he's looking to make it a TR Geeks 1-2 to end the season on a high, as there is Terence Grech fighting with Michel Galka. Two drivers side by side as they head through the middle sector. Michel Galka holds on to 15th place. for the time being in the PZZW car. Vincent Gutt now trying to have a look on Scott Sovic for 11th on the run down the not quite a main straight. Just going to look to the inside. Sovic actually lets him come through, decides not to fight him. I think that's a fair enough move from Scott Sovic. Again, it's a very underlooked strategy in sim racing, which is very much adopted in real life. Is, you know, if you're not racing someone, if they're behind you, if they're not, you know, part of your race, just let them through. There's no point fighting for a tooth and nail for every position, and it can cost you time. That's what's happened to Zanini, and once again lost the rear, getting on the throttle pedal. You got to feel for the TTF driver. He is having a horrid day on this Tuesday evening here in GPVWC. And a big shame there for Davide Zanini, but it continues around anyway. Dylan Platt, meanwhile, still looking for that second place move on Martin. He's going to be too far back once again for the move down into the centre S's. But he can certainly try nonetheless. It's Platt approaching through 2/3 distance of this race. At the moment, Platt and Martin just running very similar paces. Hygo Poom in no man's land up the front of the pack, continues to extend the gap. It's now 21, nearly 22 seconds. Fabrizio Gobi maybe having a look on Mercedes as they head through the centre S's and turn 3. And Gobi creates some miracles down into turn 4. He's got the run. He is going to have a look to the inside. They touch. And somehow Mercedes keeps it straight, but Gobi just missed his braking point and touched the rear of the Valley Esports car in front. As we go back to Sandeep Singh, who's starting to make progress on that intermediate tyre. He's now up into 9th place. He's just got through Sakura. So maybe intermediate's the tyre to be on. Only time will tell. But Sandeep Singh is the only intermediate runner in the top 10 at the moment. Here's what happened to Scott Sovic a few moments ago. Coming through turn 4. Oh, disconnect there for Scott Sovic. Oh. So just not a disconnect, just a internet moment, shall we call it. And he's run very wide. He's lost out on 14th place. Here's Sandeep Singh. This is how we got up into P8 ahead of Sakura. Running down the main straight, though, Szymon will just be pulling to the inside. Yeah, I must say, the intermediates looking like an inspired decision for Sandeep Singh at the moment. He is slicing his way through the pack. I don't know about you, David. Maybe at the next round of pit stops, which won't be too far away, we might be seeing a few more runners coming in for the intermediate tyre.
Sandeep's pace, I'm just looking at the race view again. It is actually very good. Like, he's in a 24.2. This is up with the fastest lap times, faster than some of the front runners. Like, only one like fast were like Ballet and Rogosa, but I think they are on fresher wets. If I'm looking at this, yeah, they are like 3 laps. Yeah, both 3 laps old. Sandeep is doing this like in a mid 24 right now, while some of the wet tire runners at the front are now in the 25. So it looks like this could be now a good tire to go to if the weather doesn't change much anymore.
We'll have to wait and see what the plan is, but yeah, as you said, the Inter's looking pretty tasty at the moment for Sandeep Singh anyway, currently running in P5. We'll have to wait and see at the next batch of pit stops as Capolini goes through Grech up into P16. Another driver's had a tumultuous day. 20 laps to go here in the final race this season for GPVWC Superlights. And it has been an enthralling race so far. Alessandro Maggio currently on the wet compact tyre, chasing down Thomas Schmidt, looking for a good result after being on the wrong tyre at the start of the race. Thought the rain would ease off, thought Inters were the way to go. Unfortunately for the poles hitter, it was not. The Italian has been doing a great job so far in cutting his way through the pack, and well, Thomas Schmidt makes it easier for him as he ducks into the pits. Dylan Platt also comes in. This could be interesting. When to see what tyres he goes on to as Stavros Mercedes now fighting with Gobi. Dylan Platt's back out on the wet, so wet weather tyres to the end for Dylan Platt. He thinks the Inters are not worth it. Either thinks it's wet conditions to the end or the rain will increase in a few moments' time. Here is a replay of Mercedes and Gobi. And Gobi looks like he's managed to get through with the slipstream on Mercedes. Mercedes went very, very defensive up to the wall. Wow, squeezing Gobi onto the AstroTurf on the inside. That was a bit naughty from Mercedes, but Gobi got through. Nerves of steel as Van der Voort. What's happened here for the drag racing driver as he comes through turn 5? And, oh, that's a weird place to drop the car. Did he manage to tame it? No. Did he keep out of the wall? I think he did. Fair play, Tom van der Voort did manage to keep it out of the wall, but it's a very weird place to lose it. Lost it very early in the corner. I'm not sure if that's playing that. Leader comes in. Hygo Poom. Is he going to go wets as well? We wait and see. Yes, he will. Hygo Poom back onto another set of wet tyres to the end. Carlos Martin should inherit the lead, I believe, as Michael Francesconi, I think, will just about hold on to second place. And actually, I think Poom even is going to hold on to the lead, and yes, he will. So Hygo Poom maintains his lead and carries on in dominant fashion. He can now just get his head down for the last 18 or so laps and just bring it home to the end of the race. As Dylan Platt, meanwhile, a few more places to make up now in this box, but he knows he's got a lot of runners in front of him, still yet to pit. So looking at the splits, he should be safe to re-inherit at least a P3 once the guys in front of him box, and he's got a bit of clear air in front of him as well to get his head down. Some lap cars in front. The next driver, 3.5 seconds up the road in Alessandro Maggio. So Dylan Platt can just continue to push on and show that exquisite pace that he's had here at Interlagos today over the remainder of the race. Yellow flag is out in sector 1, but it's gone as quickly as it arrived. Dylan Platt is doing a great job at the moment, coming in P7. Yellow flag back out once again. Vincent Gutt and Cappellini, they've both come into the pits, as has Grech. Gutt comes out in P15. Let's see where Cappellini and Grech come out as Dylan Platt makes his way through the lap traffic. No, that is not Cappellini, but still a nice little move there nonetheless. I believe that was Zanini that has just gone through in the TTF car. So Dylan Platt can continue to push on forwards. He's already cut into the gap. Now just 2.5 seconds from Maggio is getting a second lap, it would appear, as Francesconi hits from third place. Let's see what tyres he goes on to. Again, the one frustrating thing about sim racing is that you don't really get to see the true level of the rain. My favourite thing to do in a commentary box is to gauge how heavy the rain is by seeing the state of the puddles outside. Can't really do that sat in a virtual commentary box, but it seems to be raining quite hard anyway. What's happened to Van der Voort crawling very slowly through the pit lane. Is he out of the race? Van der Voort's pulled over in the pit lane. What has happened? Yeah, Tom Van der Voort's out of the race. I think he's made a mistake, so another TTF car's had a crash in the pit lane. Tom Van der Voort becomes our third retiree. Remco de Gio, what has happened here? He's dropped it coming out of the center S's and donks it into the wall. No visual damage. That was quite a hard impact, so I suspect some front wing damage for the Fusion Racing driver. There's Alexander Ragozza currently running in P10. I mean, the one thing these drivers have got to remember, David, is, of course, the pit lane is going to be a whole lot wetter than the track surface, because, of course, drivers aren't running on it all every single lap. So coming to the end of the pit lane and you're trying to push and get the tyres up to temperature, it's going to be like an ice rink, and especially that right-hander at the end of the pit lane as Martin comes in. This is the bottom of the hill, so that's where the water is going to pull up and collect. And, well, it looks to me like the sky is getting a little bit brighter. So maybe, David, maybe, just maybe, it'll be time for some intermediates. Sandeep Singh has come back in for wets in the last round of pit stops, though. So we'll wait and see. But over the remaining few laps, maybe the rain will ease off. Time will tell. Martin in for wets. That promotes Dylan Platt to fifth lane. Let's hope that Carlos Martin doesn't fall foul of the wet in the pit lane. Does get a bit squirrely, but he makes it through all okay. It looks like it's going to be wets to the end unless it really dries up. But the rain is falling quite heavily, as we can see. Socorro currently running at 9th. Ballet just in front of him. Hygo Poom, as long as he makes no mistakes, looks set to win this race. So it's currently really the battle for P2.
To be honest, we've had previous updates or builds of the game where you couldn't see the rain anymore if you watch the broadcast, but now you can kind of actually see it. So to me, most of the time you can actually see gauge a bit how intense the rain is. Maybe sometimes a bit more, a bit less, but while the skies have cleared up a bit, it seems like the rain itself is not really bothered by some of the clouds going away. So one of them is still standing around over the track, and we still got some bit of more or less wet conditions, like the AJ line is not drying that much as we've got here. Dylan Platt up to the diffuser of Alexandro Maggio as he is going to pit for a fresh set of tires, but it was very close. Don't want to rear end somebody before the start of the pit lane. And Interlagos, of course, a bit of a tricky one, as he's just about pitting there as Gobi leaves his pit slot.
I wonder if Gobi and Maja have the same pit box there, because it looked like Maja had to slow up and wait for Gobi to leave. That could be... Oh, they're next to each other, I've just been told on my ear. Okay, just an optical illusion there. And again, it is a very short pit lane here at Sao Paulo with you did have 25 drivers in this race, now down to 22. Of course, unfortunately, we've lost Gazowski, Herlock, and Van der Voort as Majo gets squirrely coming out of the pits. Ballet and Gobi fighting. Looks like Ballet's got through Rigota, so it is now a virtual drivers 6-7 at the moment. But a little bit of a train forming behind them. Dylan Platt currently up into third place, and he's all over the back, as I say that, of Mercedes. Platt does have the tyre advantage. Mercedes is still yet to box again. He is running the alternate strategy. He is out of sync with the rest of the boxes. So it looks like, as it stands, TR Geeks are looking very, very comfortable for a 1-2. And just to prove a point, Dylan Platt makes it through before they even get to the start-finish line. What a drive it has been for Dylan Platt. Just scythed his way through the pack. Not often you see 25th up to second. Mercedes isn't going to give up without a fight, though. He's pulled to the outside into the center S's, but with Platt on the inside, on the defensive, there is little that the Valet Esports driver can do unless he gets a great run out of here, and he won't, unfortunately. So that puts Platt up into second and puts the icing on the cake of a superb drive. Thomas Schmidt has a look to the inside of Rigota. It does not come to fruition, though, but he's still all over the gearbox of the Gallery 82 car in front. Maybe, just maybe, he'll be able to push his way through and find any sort of gap, but we'll have to wait and see. Thomas Schmidt, though, he's been a real star of this race for me. He's been a very, very impressive, been putting on a good performance in that drag racing car. And can't wait to see what he can do over the remaining 15 laps that we have left here in the 2023 GPVWC Superlights season. That is very brave to the inside. That is very brilliant to the inside from Thomas Schmidt. Wow, that's one of the moves of the race. That is a place where you do not overtake in the wet. But Thomas Schmidt said, damned be to convention, damned be to physics. Dived up the inside of Rigota and made that 8th position here. What a wonderful move from the man now in 8th place, Thomas Schmidt. Awesome, awesome stuff from him. And maybe how does Rigota respond? As Mercedes now does pit, that'll promote Martin up into P3. Already has promoted Martin up into P3. We'll wait and see where he comes out. And presumably he'll be on the wet tyre as well. As Gobi sets the fastest lap there, so yeah, Gobi got some pace on. Rigota is trying to fight Schmidt after that brilliant move. But wow, what a move that was from Thomas Schmidt. Further down, Sandeep Singh making moves. He's going to have a look around the outside of Galka. And that is a nice little move there from Sandeep Singh as he slides his way up into 11th place. Rigota still stuck behind Schmidt at the moment. These two putting on a titanic tussle for the world to watch. And but unfortunately, not coming into fruition for the time being for the Gallery 82 driver. But again, been a race to remember for Alexander Rigota. He's had some good battles. I'm sure he's had some good fun in the virtual cockpit. And I'm sure in his sim rig at home, he's got a massive smile on his face. As we are starting to approach the dying thralls of the 2023 Superlights season. Not long left to go here at Interlagos. And well, it's been a brilliant race nonetheless. These guys have put on a real classic for us as Rigota continues to get squirrely, putting that loud pedal down. A few of the cars just struggling for grip, struggling for traction as they head down the main straight. It's all plain sailing, quite literally, probably aquaplaning everywhere. We do have a few runners now on the Interminutes. Bulio, Dizio, and Zanini have all gambled. They are down the back, so I think they're just hoping that the rain will lighten off and force a box for wets later on, and they can make a few positions that way. Looks like a team decision as well for Bulio and Dizio, the teammates. Both of them boxing for Inters at that last stop. Alessandro Maggio now onto the back of Rigota. The pole man has done, well, he's done what he can after just being on the wrong tyres at the start, but still been an impressive race for him nonetheless in the Valet car. And Rigotta looks set to be his next victim, because Maggio has had no problems finding overtakes and finding places in this race. It was just unfortunate that the early pit stop put him a little bit out of cycle with everyone else as he decided to ditch the Inters about 10 laps in and throw on the wet tyres as Rigotta runs very, very wide and pulls off an amazing power slide, it must be said, but that'll cost him some time. And now on the run into Jundt, if Maggio gets a good exit here, as that's the iRacing line there from Rigotta, he could very well be looking at a P8 finish here on the run up the final straight. They'll be heading on to their 48th lap. Maggio with the slipstream up to the inside. Rigotta pushes him. They bang wheels on the start-finish straight. Maggio will make it P8 and slams the door on the exit as well. Just a little squeeze, saying, none of that, thank you. This position is mine. And the Italian up into 8th place. Maggio, he's been doing what he can, David. Of course, started on the intermediate tyre, started on the wrong tyre. So disappointing to him to lose out on that pole position, but what he's been doing on the wet weather compound, it's been impressive to see.
It's respectable drive so far for him for not having driven this car a lot this year. I mean, he's mostly spent like FS2, and he's even won a race ahead of me in Baku. But respectable drive so far. I'm just looking back, in Italy he was 4th, also very good drive on like first debut, 10th in Singapore, and sadly retirement in Japan, so this is like his last appearance he could make. But yeah, I mean, it's too bad that the tire choice proved to be the wrong one in the end, but it's still another good run right now in the top 10 for him. So I'm not sure, but if like Valais stays in like Superlights, I could expect to see him back there and aim for more for him. It's really good pace.
We'll have to wait and see what the outcome is. 10, or shortly going to be 10 laps left to go in this race. Currently 11 laps. As Thomas Schmidt continues to fight for places and positions and points. The driver currently racing in 7th again. As I said earlier, he's been a real star of this race. Putting on a display in the Drake racing car. They make their way around a very, very wet interlagos. It does look like the rain has eased up once again, but it's still very much full wet conditions out there. And of course, as we enter the dying throes, I feel like now is the perfect time to do the commentator's duty, do what I have to do, and start passing around the thank yous for what has been an amazing season once again in GPVWC. As there we see the gap between Platt and Martin, currently sitting at just over 3.5 seconds. Martin having some pace at the moment, but we know how good Platt has been. With 10 laps left to go, it has been a phenomenal season once again in GPVWC Superlights. The league continues to go from strength to strength, and the second tier on the GPVWC pyramid has once again drawn up a season of thrills, spills, surprises, and chaos. But most importantly, it's been a season of great racing, putting the very, very best in R Factor 2 against each other. Of course, although this is the second tier of GPVWC, the Superlights, the Super League being the primary series, as there we see a three-way fight. This is Schmidt, Maggio, and I believe that is Ballet as well, as they're 3 wide into the center S's. That's surely not going to work. Schmidt gets through. Does Maggio get through as well? Wow, brilliant from Alessandro Maggio. They're going to be neck and neck through turn 3, but Maggio will have the place. And up to P7 he moves there. A shame for Ballet. He loses 2 places in one section of the racetrack, almost banging wheels, the pair of drivers, but Maggio does find his way through. Lovely racing action there. But as I was saying, yeah, it's been a great season. Of course, we've got to pass on our thank yous to absolutely everybody involved here at GPVWC. Of course, the league owners, the league organisers. Once again, they have done an absolutely phenomenal job. Obviously, a big shout out to Will Panissi. He has been fantastic once again at the head of the table, and everybody else involved in the organisation of GPVWC. They have been superb, and once again, a season that has been fantastic. And as the league continues to go from strength to strength, hopefully 2024 will bring us even more success as a championship. All of our tiers of racing. Of course, we've got a big shout out to the GPVWC media group as well. A big thank you to everybody involved in putting on these broadcasts. It is a real fantastic team. And of course, it's been fantastic to work with these guys. They've been, as always, absolutely brilliant. A big shout out goes to Vincent Gutt for organising absolutely everything this season. Thank you very much to Vincent for his just amazing organisation skills. Of course, a big thank you to Szymon Frelik, who's been on the cameras for many a race this year, and he's back on the cameras today. And one of the finest cameramen that you can find in sim racing, a fantastic producer to work with. So a big thank you to Szymon Frelik. As there we see, was there a wing off on the side? Oh, Thomas Schmidt! No, Thomas Schmidt's hit the wall somewhere. Anyway, put a stop to my thank yous. Thomas Schmidt, he's had a fantastic race. No front wing. What's happened to Thomas Schmidt? Well, this isn't Maxime Bulio. A lapped car.
No.
Oh, no, please, no. Oh, so Schmidt got a bit wobbly. Oh, what is that?
David Coulthard moment.
Oh, no.
Let's say
happened?
He Schumachered him, kind of.
I think there may have just been a miscalculation. Bulio pulled over to let Schmidt... Oh, he just hits the brakes and Schmidt doesn't expect it to happen. Oh, heartbreak. Heartbreak for Thomas Schmidt, who's had such an amazing race, and just miscommunication with the laps. Bulio, no real fault for either of them there. Bulio was respecting blue flags, and Schmidt, I think, was just unawares of the slowing car in front. But, oh, what a devastating way to end the race and end the season. Of course, he will make it back out as Mercedes fights with Galka for 10th place. But man, that is a horrifying way, a very, very sad way for Thomas Schmidt. He will hopefully come out not too far down the order, but that is his race all but over. As Mercedes has a look to the inside. Oh, what a shame there for Thomas Schmidt. I will head back to what I was once saying. Yeah, I'll see. Where was I? Oh, and that's Zanini. He's had a spin coming on the main straight. He's almost pulled the rest of it into the barriers. He'll make his way back around. It's all kicked off here in the last few laps. It's suddenly no one can keep it on the circuit. What's happened to Davide Zanini? Very, very strange place to drop it. So that's Bulio without the front wing. Oh, that explains a lot. So he went. He did hit the wall. Big impact into the wall. Hopefully the car's okay. But Bulio, of course, going very slowly with no rear wing following that incident earlier. Zanini looks like he has continued. So luckily, no damage there for Davide Zanini, I think. But is he pulled over? Is he retired from the race?
And
I think Davide Zanini has ended his season with a DNF. A big shame. Again, just a racing incident, just pulled out wide to avoid Bulio and then just touched the AstroTurf. And that sent him around into a spin. What a big shame there for him. As Carlos Martin is starting to pull in Dylan Platt, but Platt's got a lot of traffic to negotiate at the moment. So maybe that's aiding Carlos Martin's quest for second place. But Dylan Platt is holding firm there at the moment. But as I was saying before it all kicked off a few laps ago, again, a big thank you to Camerawork, a big thank you to Szymon Frelik for doing a great job today, and a big thank you to all the producers and camera operators that we have with us. A big thank you to all of the broadcast team as well. So not just obviously David alongside me today, David Jundt, who's done a phenomenal job as always, but everybody involved in bringing the production of GPVWC to your screens. It is a real team effort that goes into it. And although we have our moments, for the most part, it is an absolute tight ship. And so a big thank you to everybody involved in that. Back to the racing action though. Carlos Martin was 1.3 seconds faster than Dylan Platt on that last lap, but again, Platt did have that traffic to negotiate, which Martin will surely encounter soon. As here we see Schmidt fighting with Capellini. Schmidt, of course, we know the pace that he's got. He'll be looking just to try and finish on a high and pull off some wonderful moves. Let's see if he's got what it takes. He's maybe going to try a dive on Capellini. No, he decides to play it safe, but he is all over the gearbox of the car in front. Platt's going to come through. Hopefully he won't get held up too much by the back markers. We're going to assume we're not judging track merits there at the right-hander because everyone's running onto the curb, which seemingly isn't that slippy despite the downpour. So, you know, if you can run it and you're faster, that is fair enough. Do what you got to do. Yeah, well, these guys aren't going to want to pull over as we now get 5 laps remaining from Hygo Pum. Or banging wheels, Capellini and Schmidt These guys are going to need to respect the new blue flags. Oh, Capellini spins again. Oh, Schmidt spins as well. What's happened there? Careful not to come back onto the circuit. Lets Capellini go through. Very bizarre incident for Thomas Schmidt. Just drops it on the loud pedal. Maybe a bit distracted with Capellini going around in front of him. Carlos Martin's now less than a second away from Dylan Platt in front. He was really held up on that last lap. So Platt is now going to have to fight. So here's what happened. So you head through Jundt. So Capellini just immediately loops it on the throttle pedal. A lot of wheel spin. And I think Schmidt just did the same thing a few moments later. So there's the touch of the wheels. Schmidt turns in. Obviously has to take a bit of a wider line. Gets a lot of wheel spin. Bit squirrely. Turns up to third gear. And the thing just goes on him. The thing just goes. Shows how what it is at that part of the circuit. It's Dylan Platt's view of the incident. Of course, he was held up behind them. He'll be a little bit frustrated with that, but at least he got to see some synchronized spinning. And yeah, just through he went. Fair enough. Whatever happens, what a shame though for Thomas Schmidt. He's had a fantastic race and it's turned to heartbreak in just a handful of laps. But Carlos Martin, it must be said, as it would appear my laptop was started today, so I might need to hand over to you very, very quickly, David, in a moment while I run over and grab my laptop charger, which is on the other side of my room. But yeah, Thomas Schmidt, what a disappointing race he's had. From joyous and amazing moves to just spins and dinks and crashes. A real shame that Carlos Martin is closing in on Dylan Platt, David.
Yeah, it looks like. Oh, this could already be remaining push to pass. Defense by Dylan Platt. Outside move. Is Dylan gonna try? No, he can't. He can't run out wide, and Carlos Martin up into second place. Looks like Dylan's tires are a bit too old now to fight back, and it just seems that Carlos is now gonna get away. So there's not gonna be a TR1-2. And although there's unmistakably Dylan Platt's talent, I think the tires are just too old, or just too different that he can fight back, and just Carlos is gonna muscle away. By the way, like a few laps back I saw that Sandeep Singh also had stopped his experiment with inters and also went to wets. Here we have Sikora, GTF again, fighting, this is Musaidis. Like some of the last few people not to be lapped yet. Vincent Gott is the last one on the lead lap. Sikora here going for pass on the outside, but he got the ideal line. But it's not gonna be, there's not enough overlap. Oh, Mathieu has, Musaidis has problem with traction, probably also a lot older tires now. But it's not working out right now. Here,
that was a
fifth.
Big half slide there for Mercedes. Gobi, meanwhile, puts the pressure on Francesconi, who has done an amazing job in this race to hold on for positions as long as he have. What a drive from the Italian, but Fabrizio Gobi's going to have a dive up the inside. Does he make it stick? Yes, he does. Textbook maneuver, but well executed from Fabrizio Gobi. He takes fourth place as Mercedes has now been done by Sikora. I think another half spin there, maybe. Let's get a replay of what's happened here. So Sikora apparently in 11th. Was it a big dive bomb potentially? Oh no, Mercedes just ran very, very wide. Got all sorts of out of shape. And I think they may have actually briefly touched. They did indeed bang wheels as Sikora took the position. Well, not quite yet anyway. They were still side by side for quite some time. Oh, look at that. Mercedes has got no rear tyres left, does it? And they did touch again. Mercedes, the rears are just cooked. There is nothing left. I'm sure they're probably almost down to slicks there. Hargo Poom, though, makes it the penultimate lap of the race. As there's a yellow flag out in Sector 2. Hopefully everything is okay. Oh, Scott Sobik's had a spin coming out of Junkt. A tricky corner in the dry, in the wet, as we've seen today. Catching out many a driver. Oh, he was... Oh, another driver really struggled for traction. He was spinning. Oh, wow, that's a very weird place to drop it. Did he touch the AstroTurf? He must have done on the way in. Just... Let's have a look on the onboard of the Team Ballast driver. So again, sliding his way through the corner before. Runs out a little bit. No, just the curb. The curb just spat him out. Wow, that's bizarre. We've seen drivers using and abusing curbs all race long. And it seems like it's just caught Scott Sobik out. As here we see Capellini. There was a yellow flag in Sector 1 as well. Did these guys come together? Capellini back in the walls again. It has been an evening to forget for Lorenzo Capellini. We managed to get it going, but he has well and truly been in the wars. But let's talk about this man, because we haven't talked about him at all, to be frank, because he's been in a race of his own, to be quite frank with you. Hargo Poon, another man who in his spare time was also part of the GPVWC broadcast team, so big shout out for that one. Hargo Poon, he's just been phenomenal. He will start the final lap of the race now, and no one has even come close to him. Made the right call being on the wets at the start. He's been on the wets all race long, and as soon as he was in the lead, he booked his flight and disappeared off into the distance. It's going to be a champagne supernova in a little under a lap's time for the TR Geeks driver, with a little bit of traffic to negotiate along the way. What isn't there to say about what a superb drive it's been from Hargo Poon? It's not been lights to flag. Of course, he didn't start on the pole position, but it's as close as you can come to it. Pure driving excellence in the tricky conditions at the Autodromo Jose Carlos Che Interlagos. Happy hunting ground for this man, it would appear. Just the tricky middle sector and Yuncao and the main straight to negotiate. As he slowly brings it home. At this point, he's got a 20-second lead. He can wave to the fans virtually and just enjoy this one and sink it in. He's going to negotiate Yuncao for the very final time, and Hargo Poon ends on a high. They say that victory tastes sweet when it's even sweeter when it's how you're closing out the season. Hargo Poon dominates in Interlagos. He takes the checkered flag. He wins the final race of the Superlights season with an outstanding, a superb drive for Hargo Poon. That is how it is done. Unbelievable from him. Carlos Martin was able to get past Dylan Platt in the end. He will take P2. And it'll be a very enjoyable P2 for Carlos Martin nonetheless. And a great way to end the season as well. Dylan Platt, though, easily driver of the day, last to P3 and up into P2 for much of the race as well. He can be very happy with that one. Gobi takes P4, Francesconi a wonderful P5, and Maggio recovers to P6 after starting on the wrong tyre. A disappointing end to the season for him. He knew he had the pace for the win, but unfortunately it was raining heavier than he thought. Fabian Ballet, a great job from him to finish in P7. A great result for the virtual drivers team, as Ragoza finishes in P8, the highest of the Gallery 82 runners. And the only finish for Gallery 82 is Gazovsky DNF'd early on. Sandeep Singh finished P9 as Galka P10. Poon does some very wet donuts to celebrate what has been a great victory. And the TR Geeks guys, get your camera out, get the R Factor 2 photo mode out, because you got a new screensaver there for your PC. Celebrating two fantastic drives to a P1 and a P3 in the final race of the season. TR Geeks energy, a dominant drive from Hargo Poon, a brilliant drive from Dylan Platt from the pit lane. And are they going to do the NASCAR style burnout face to face? You know they want to try it, don't they? Go on boys, give it a go. Or are they just posing for a team photo? They might just be doing that. But what a drive it's been from these boys. The class of the field today, these two drivers. And thoroughly reserved. That is it for 2023 in Superlights. Hargo Poon takes a dominant victory with Carlos Martin in P2 and Dylan Platt 25th up to 3rd. He rounds out your podium. Fabrizio Gobi was 4th with Michael Francesconi, a great job from him to be P5, with Alessandro Maggio unfortunately dropping back to P6. Fabian Ballet was 7th with Alexander Ragoza in P8. Sandeep Singh was 9th after his intermediate experiment in the 2nd stint. And Michel Galka, he rounds out our top 10 finishes here at Interlagos in a race of attrition, a war of keeping it on the black stuff. Jan Korea unlucky just to miss out on the top 10. He was P11 with Stavros Mercedes in P12. Vincent Gutt was 13th with Scott Sobick in 14th. Terence Grech was 15th with Thomas Schmidt, a devastating 16th place. You got a feel for the man after a great race and just getting caught up. Lady Luck not going his way. Lorenzo Capolini is 17th with Dominic Roshavin in P18. Remco de Gires 90 with Perseus Miram in P20 as we see the traditional end of season donuts in the background. Davide Zanini, Maxim Bewley, Tom van der Voort, Joseph Herlock and Maciuszek Gazowski. Unfortunately, we all lost during this race. But that is it. The end of season celebrations get underway. We are all done and dusted in the 2023 Superlights season. Of course, 2nd of November, 2 days time, the final race, full stop of the GPVWC season, as the top tier of the GPVWC period head to the same track, head to the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache for the final race of the season, where there is an intense constructors battle continuing on in that championship. So of course, on Thursday, make sure you're there to tune in for that. But that is it for Superlight in 2023. And well, David Jundt, what a race that was.
Yeah, it's like I was reminded a bit of the Superlights race in Spa, where TR has choose the correct strategy, but that time it was Dylan Platt not starting from the pit lane and winning ahead of Heiko Poom. And this time Heiko made the right call, finished first. We've got Dylan Platt at least still third, so I mean, that's still a big achievement, and now we've got them in here with us, the TR guys. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, both can hear us. Fantastic. We've got our race winner and our P3 man. We'll start with our winner, Heiko Poom. Heiko, that is the one hell of a way to finish off a season. What a dominant victory that was. You've got to feel very happy with that one.
My hands are tired. That's the main thing I'm currently feeling. This track does not do well. But yeah, let's start off with where I'm dedicating it to. I'm gonna dedicate my first actual official win. I'm pretty sure that's gonna be official this time around. It's gonna go to Rodrigo Carvalho because he got me. He was the first guy who believed in me and got me into GPV and got me into a proper team setting, and now I'm here. After that, it's also his home race, so it feels right. And yeah, this race I've never considered it so hard. It's hands are hurting and the emotions are really high. And thank you for my team as well, of course, Dylan and David for being right there, and of course everybody in TR, Mike, and so on.
Well, it must have been a bit of a boring race for you, to be honest, because once you got into the lead, you just didn't look back. You just checked out. You won by over 20 seconds in the end. Was it just kind of heavy focus? Obviously, it was difficult conditions out there with the rain. Were you just kind of focusing, keeping it on the black stuff and running your own race? Or were you getting a bit bored out there, maybe?
I don't think I blinked in the middle of the race. My contact lenses feel a bit drier than usual. So I definitely was concentrating a lot. Not at any point did I feel comfortable, because the situations like that, we are going up and down the hills. There's just no grip out there, and one little mistake in the throttle or one little mistake in the brake and it's all over. So definitely not easy. Not at any point did I feel like I had secured the win, even though I was making a gap.
Well, still a fantastic victory for you nonetheless. Thank you very much for joining us, Heiko. And we'll go over to your teammate and the man who rounded out the podium places as well, Dylan Platt. Now, Dylan, first of all, I know there isn't an official driver of the day, but hands down, driver of the day, 25th to 3rd. That's not bad going, mate.
Yeah, no, it was very, very, very interesting, you know. And to finish P3 after it, disappointed to not finish P2, but ties were dead at the end.
No, that's fair enough. And we saw you diving into the pits at the end of the formation lap for a set of wet tires. After you originally started on the originally planning to start on the intermediates, and what an inspired decision that was. Do you think that was one that really kind of boosted your confidence early in the race?
Well, it certainly kept me out the turn one melee, considering it was a complete mistake to start in inters. I thought I was starting on wets, but it didn't save. So, but turned out to be a blessing in disguise, as I believe turn 1-2 was a bit of a mess.
It was a little bit. It's Interlagos in the wet, very awkward. It's awkward turn one. It's always going to be bit of a problem, but still, nonetheless, a great drive. You've got to be very happy with that one, surely.
I mean, of course, both me and Heiko, I think, chose a very good day to do our best race of the season, and probably for me, best race I think I've done in GPV so far. And of course, we have to say thank you to David Carter, and Timon for being our race engineers for this year.
Absolutely. Of course, you guys couldn't have done it yourself. The teams obviously do a lot of hard work behind the scenes. But thanks very much for joining us, guys. Fantastic result for the pair of you and for the team, and what a way to end the season. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was first and third place Dylan Platt and Hygo Poom. Let's also drag in second place Carlos Martin. Carlos, can you hear us?
I do.
Well, second place with a very, very tough race out there. That's going to feel like a very enjoyable way to end the year.
Well, P2 again after those double P2 in FS1. It was a lucky one once again. The gamble at the race start, it looked like it had to be wet. I didn't have any confidence at all with the car, as Sandeep was clearly faster than me, probably 3 to 4 tenths faster. So it's a shame for him to not be up there. I think he would have fought he would have been in contention. Today Hygo was a Giga, and he deserves the win. What can I say? It was I just found out that I was finishing P2 today.
Yeah, no, it's a great result for you, and obviously congratulations. But what was it like racing out there? I mean, we saw absolute chaos all throughout the pack. You were one of the few who didn't really have any major moments. The conditions was just horrible, weren't they?
Well, I had a pair of moments. One with Michael. Like I was not aware in which position he was going into turn 2 by lap 30 something, 37 or around there. And then I had another moment with Stavros, which gave me a tiny bit of damage in the front end. And but then the rest of the race, it was like pure pace, getting confident every single lap. And the latest in was clearly the fastest for me. I felt way more confident. I started feeling the front grip on the tires, especially in slow corners, which I didn't feel any compared to Suzuka. I think I just lacked a bit of aggressiveness overall. But yeah, congrats to Hygo, to Dylan. He also did a really good race. I think at the end he lacked a bit of tire management when he pitted in within 20 laps to go. I was planning to do that as well, but when I saw him pitting, I just decided, I'm just going to go alternate. Otherwise, he looked faster than me, so I'm just going to go alternate. Otherwise, I stand not a chance. And probably I was thinking more into covering Francesconi and Gobi to do a similar strategy, so it's more difficult for them to catch up. And then the P2 was actually a bit surprising, but yeah, it was a good one.
Yeah, a very, very good race indeed. Thank you very much for joining us, Carlos. A fantastic P2 and a great way to end the season.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you all for the broadcast and the commentary.
Absolutely, not a problem. It is our pleasure. That was Carlos Martin, who finished in P2. And that looks like the only people who want an interview, so I think that'll be it from us. But David, one amazing race there. What a fantastic way to end the season that was. Just brilliant stuff.
Yep. I always like rounding out the season with a wet race again, because it's just so much more, exciting to watch. Some drivers will not agree, like, oh no, there's going to be an incident like a turn 1 or something with such conditions, but I just like watching it and commentating on it. But yeah, it was a exciting race, except for Hygo Puma at the front, of course. But he never looked back once he was past us on the marcher, to be honest. But yeah, the rest of the race was really exciting. We've seen some very great overtakes. Like, I said, some fresh wets can make a difference in trying to make some passing or creating passing opportunities. But yeah, we've seen some great moves this race. So it was fun watching tonight.
Was indeed. Thank you very much for joining me in the commentary box, David. It's been a real pleasure. And of course, thank you, all of you, for watching along for the final round, the 2023 Superlights season at Interlagos. What a race it has been. And of course, in 2 days' time, it's time for the final race of the GPVWC calendar year. It's time for the Super League on the 2nd of November. We'll see you then.